Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to another Hugo's Desk Live today. So thank you so much for being here. I can see a lot of people here, familiar faces on the chat as well. So let me know on the chat, of course, if you can hear me fine, if the sound is good, if the microphone is good. I'll never forget that we started a stream once with no sound, so apologies for that. But yeah, so today we have another honest showreel review. We have two artists that are going to present their work, and then we're going to chat with them. But before we do that, before we start, I just have basically a few things that I would like to just announce and also to preview. So there's quite a lot of things happening before Christmas at Hugo's Desk, and I just wanted to mention all of them so we don't forget any of them. Obviously, as you all know, I do VFX Notes podcast with Ian Fails from Before and Afters. We're going to have a couple of episodes dropping. We've recorded now multiple episodes. We recorded Oppenheimer. We recorded Barbie. We recorded also The Creator. We did a lot of episodes lately that we need to now publish, and we're going to publish them soon. So that's the next few episodes of the VFX Notes podcast. I'm going to just show it on the screen, and then it's probably easier for everyone to kind of be joining. So basically, sorry, I apologize. Should be on the bottom. So basically, VFX Notes podcast, which the last episode we've published was for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. That was the last episode, episode 49. Episode 50 is going to drop next week with Abib Zagapur, which we're going to talk about his career and all his work on episode 1 and on The Perfect Storm, on all the new work he's doing with LED screens. It's going to be awesome. So that's going to be next on the VFX Notes podcast. The other thing as well that I wanted to mention is that for some reason, I have quite a lot of things going on live. It just happened to be like that. So this week, of course, we're now having the Honest Showreel reviews. Next week, on Tuesday, we have a very special stream. We're going to have Victor Paris live on YouTube. He's going to actually be joining me here live in person. He's going to be in London, so he's actually in London promoting his he's working here, and so he's going to be live here at Hugo's Desk, and we're going to be talking about color management. We're going to be talking about ACE's workflow. We're going to be talking about the new book that Victor has made called the Color Management Handbook for Visual Effects Artists, and which I have a copy here. I know it's a different copy that you see here. This is the hardcover. I have a copy here, which Victor was very kind to send it to me with a lovely inscription. And I'm also on part of this. I've written the foreword of this book. It's a really nice book. You should always get together there. So we're going to be here next Tuesday live on Hugo's Desk. We're going to have giveaways as well. The Nuke course, my Nuke course will be giving away, but also Victor is also giving away some of his, a few copies of his book, so which is going to be great. So if you want to join us next week, that will be great. It's on Tuesday. It's not on Wednesday, it's on Tuesday. So it's on the 21st of November. So that's the next stream, which will be on 5 days from now. Be sure to check in and be sure to drop in for the giveaway and also to say hello to Victor. Victor is also going to be taking questions from the audience. So if you want to have questions about color pipelines, about ACEs, you bring all the questions, okay? So that's the next stream. Like I said to you, I have a lot of streams going on. So there's then, after that, I have on the 29th of November, I have another Showreel review stream, which is the Showreel Review 11, which will be the week after. So it'll be similar to this one. And then the week after that, on the 8th of December, we have a very special stream. So as you've probably seen, World VFX Day is upon us. It's on the 8th of December. And so we're going to be streaming the entire day here on Hugo's Desk. We're going to be here for 12 hours streaming. A schedule will be announced very soon. So we're going to have multiple companies presenting keynotes. We're going to have talks. We're going to have debates, Q&As. We're going to have multiple artists and supervisors coming in. For example, Victor Perez is going to come in. Ian Fails is going to come in as well. We're going to have Visual Effects Society. We're going to have ILP. There's going to be a bunch of companies going to be joining the stream. And I'm going to be live for 12 hours. Okay, so don't forget that we're going to be here all day. We're going to be starting at 9 o'clock in the morning. It's going to be quite early for me. 9 o'clock in the morning, and we're going to be wrapping up around 7 in the morning or something like that. So don't forget that. That's going to be in 22 days. The World VFX Day. So, and you can join the chat. You can ask questions. I'll be there. I'll be here the whole day taking questions and Q&As. I myself will be doing a presentation, so the schedule is quite large right now. There's like 20-something presentations throughout the day. I'll be doing one presentation as well, but I'll be here from the beginning, so you can chat with me. So that's the on the 8th of December. And then last but not least, I have yet a last stream before the end of the year. So before the end of the year in December, we'll have the last honest showreel reviews of the year, which will be on the 12th of December. So that's going to be the last time we'll do the show reviews. This is going to be in 27 days from now. So they're all on the live tab of Hugo's Desk. You can put the notifications on for all of them. So yeah, that's going to be the last one before Christmas and before the break, and before then we come back in January basically. And on January we have a couple of streams. We have a stream with the Foundry scheduled. We have more honest show reviews with the BenQ, so we have a bunch of things. Speaking of BenQ, of course, BenQ is also the sponsor of this stream, so thank you so much, BenQ, for allowing this stream to happen and for supporting the channel so much that we can do them and we can do these showreel reviews. So thank you so much, BenQ, for that. And having said that, there's also multiple videos dropping on my channel as well. I'm going to have a few reviews coming as well. So I'm going to have the review of the BenQ SW272, which is just on my right here. I'm going to be doing a full review. I'm already making it, but I'm going to deliver before the end of the year. So that's going to be the full review of this monitor, which is probably the best monitor I've ever worked with so far. And then after that, I also have the review of the widescreen, ultra-wide PD3420Q, which is the one I have in front of me. So I'll have two BenQ reviews to drop before the end of the year, which are going to like showcase. I did two projects with these monitors. So I did the Zeiss commercial that I just released and directed, and I also did Sniper Elite with one of these monitors. So I'm going to be showcasing some of the workflows and some of the processes I did to make those projects with these monitors. And then last but not least, we'll have also another review. I have a review this time of the color panel from Blackmagic. So I'm going to review the color panel mini panel. So this is the panel I use for grading. So I'm going to be doing a full review for it as well before the end of the year. So there's 3 reviews, a bunch of live streams, and some Nuke tutorials as well, which are edited from the streams that I used to do on Twitch as well. So there's a bunch of things dropping until the end of the year, so you know. And if you have any questions, just drop by and ask me as well. So a very busy year until the end. Maybe it won't be all of it done. We'll see. Sometimes I can't finish everything, but I'll try my best to finish everything. As you also know, today the stream, we have a giveaway as well. I already posted on the chat. I'm going to post it again on the chat. So if you are interested in receiving my Nuke course for free, you can join the giveaway. I'm going to be giving away a Nuke course at the end of the stream. So just sign up. If you already have my course, you can still sign up. And then I'll give you for free the workshops, which is my other course that I have as well. But that's enough about me. Like I said, BenQ is sponsoring this channel, this stream. So I'm going to just run the BenQ commercials, so everyone knows what they've been up to with the last monitors, and then I'll be back in like less than a minute. The commercial is really short, so I'll be back very soon. Okay, I'll see you all very soon. Okay, that was it. That was BenQ's new monitor, the SW range, which I'm going to be reviewing on this channel anyway. So be sure to tag along to watch that on my channel. So without further ado, let's just start the proceedings of the showreel reviews. As you know, if you want your review to be reviewed here on the channel, you have to submit the review on the link, on the Dropbox link that can be found on the video description of this stream or any of the streams that I've done in the past. I think we've done 12 or 13 of so far, and the Dropbox link is always the same one. But don't forget, when you drop your showreel, you make sure you need to email me. You need to message me, email me, or message me on social media, because I need to book your time. I need to book a slot, because as you probably already noticed, I only review the stream. I only review the showreels if the person is here with me. And this is just because I prefer to have the artist here, because I can talk to them and I can ask them questions, and I can also have a fair game. You know, I can give them the opportunity to ask me questions, and also give them the opportunity to explain if they have something that they think is not correct on their showreel, because then they can explain. So this is pretty special for me, because I love talking with these artists, and it's almost like an interview. I used to do these at the mill all the time when I was the VFX supervisor at the mill and head of compositing at the mill. I used to hire people all the time, so I would have interviews all the time. So this is almost like an interview. You know, I'm interviewing the person and asking them almost every question that I usually do when I used to work there. So keep that in mind. And so don't forget to contact me so that I can book your slot. We have 2 artists today. I already have 1 artist booked for next stream, but so I need another slot for next stream. And don't forget, then with the final stream on December, we have 2 more slots, or 3, depending on how many people send something. So don't be shy, send the showreel. And if your showreel is not finished, it doesn't matter. You've seen the streams. Sometimes they're not finished, it doesn't matter. I give feedback anyway. And if you only have 1 shot, you can also send 1 shot. It's not a problem at all. Anyway, without further ado, let's just join the first customer today. So I'm going to see if they are on Zoom. I'm just going to load up Zoom and see if they are here. Let's see. So, just give me a second.
Recording in progress.
Oh, sorry, apologies
Recording
for that.
stopped.
I need to mute that sound. It's so annoying, isn't it? I'm gonna see if they are here. So I have, well, that's weird. I have 3 people on the. That's weird. I have 3 people waiting. Okay. Oh, because I think that it's the same people. So which one should I bring in? I guess I'll bring in all of you. I don't know. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna bring the first one. I'll see what happens. So let's see here if this is the one. I have two connections on the same name. So can you hear me? Let's see if you can hear me. Hello there, or is it the other one? Maybe it's the other one. I'll put both of them. Maybe it's 2 people with the same name. I hope not. Then it's gonna be a bit confusing. Oh, here you go. I can see it now. Okay, cool. Can you hear me? I don't believe I can hear you. Have you said something yet? I think you're muted or something. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
oh yeah, there you go. There you go. Oh, great stuff. Cool. So I'm gonna put the image for everyone to see. Are you okay with that, for me to put it live on the show? Yeah, okay, cool. Okay, cool. So, well, first of all, thank you so much for joining me today. So before anything, I don't want to butcher your name, so I'm gonna just try my best. So I believe your name is Sriram. Is that correct, or?
Yeah, Sriram.
Sriram, altogether, or almost all together, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So first of all, I can't thank you enough for joining me and to submit the showreel. Thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you.
And I just want to start like we usually do on these streams. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself, and where you're calling? Basically tell everyone where you're calling from, your name, your age, what do you do for a living, and kind of what's your career right now and what you want out of this showreel review. So give us a little bit of introduction to everyone here listening.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm Sriram from India, Tamil Nadu, and I'm a VFX compositor and an Unreal artist. And I'm currently working on some freelancing stuffs and some short films too. And I'm looking for a internship so that I can get some hands-on experience from an industry. And I can't do a full-time job currently. I'm a student. I have still 5 to 6 months left in my college, so that I am currently searching for an internship. It will be good if I get one.
And so you are finishing your course. Are you already working, or you're just doing the course full time?
No, I am currently doing some freelancing stuffs, but I am maintaining the both at the same time.
So the freelancing work, is it like real, like professional work that you are also doing freelancing on the side, I guess?
Yeah.
Cool. Is that some of the stuff that we're going to see today on your reel? Is that the freelance work?
Only one. I
Okay.
think.
Okay. Cool.
I just now started VFX compositing for. I'm doing the VFX compositing for almost only 8 to 9 months.
Okay. Cool.
So
Cool. Cool.
yeah.
Mainly Nuke, or do you know other software, or what?
Nuke.
Nuke.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Nuke and Unreal Engine.
And what? Sorry.
Unreal.
Unreal. Okay, great. Unreal. Cool.
Yeah.
And I guess pretty much everyone knows. You know a little bit of Photoshop, I guess. I'm
Yeah.
assuming as well. And
Yeah.
yeah, those kind of things. Okay, cool. Okay, well, I'm gonna share my screen. So one thing I keep saying on these streams, like, forget about the YouTube stream, because the YouTube stream is going to be incredibly delayed, compared to when you're talking to me. So just focus on the Zoom call. I'm going to share my screen so you can see me playing your showreel. And you can basically just minimize the stream or something, because I think it's like 20 seconds delay or something on it. So I'm going to share my screen. Before I share my screen, I'm just going to open your showreel before, so that it's looping on the back here. I'm going to remove the sound, okay, if you don't mind, because I've always have issues with the sound regarding the streams because of copyright strike on YouTube. It's always a problem. So I'm just going to share my screen here for a second. And then we'll take it from there. Do you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So cool. So I'm just gonna make us a little bit bigger here, so that we can see each other, both of us here. Just to give me a second, so that people can see our faces as well. Okay, cool. They can see our faces now as well at the same time. Okay, so I'm going to play this back in looping, and why don't you tell us a little bit about, before we go shot by shot, tell us a little bit about this showreel in general. So is this mostly educational work? Is it, you said you had one professional shot, so the other shots that are not professional, where are they coming from? Are they from tutorials? Are they from your own work? Tell us a little bit about that.
Most of the footage are from Action VFX, and some of them from the Rebel Way course. And the main thing I did this in the showreel is to get an internship for.
Okay, I see. And so okay, cool. Well, with that in mind, let's just watch it from the beginning. So let's go from shot by shot, really, like we usually do here on Hugo's desk. So okay, so first shot, you have this couple walking inside a car. So this is Action VFX footage. As I can see, you did some keying, some edge detail, and some glass reflection. So this is all done in Nuke, I'm assuming. So tell us a little bit about the process of doing this shot. Where is this reflection coming from? I mean, the footage is from Action VFX, but where did you get the reflection, for example?
Yeah, I just reversed the background footage, and I did that reflection.
Okay, cool. It's quite good, the reflection. I think you did a good job, but I believe that normally when we do these kind of shots on production, we then we shoot another plate. We shoot with another camera to have a better, basically when they would have rigged the camera on the bonnet of the car to shoot the actors, and then they would have a reverse camera to shoot just the environment, so that they could then put it on the reflection, so that it would match the environment, but also so that you would have a better reflection. Because at the moment, the only issue you're having with this methodology of reversing is that your reflection that you've created is a bit soft and it's a bit blurry, because it doesn't have resolution enough to stay there as a reflection, because the shot is so sharp. So one of the things I would advise you is that maybe perhaps think about going and film something for this, go and film a piece of footage to add, or try to find a different type of footage to do the reflection, because it's well integrated, the reflection, but it's just a bit too blurry, and it's not really sharp enough compared to the rest of the plate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Now, in terms of that's one thing, and then in terms of the keying, you don't have you don't have a breakdown, like you have a breakdown, but it's how was it doing this shot? Like, was it very difficult? Was it mostly keying? Was it mostly rotoscoping? How did you one thing as well that I would say as well about the reflection before we even go to the keying, it would have to be, I think it's not just reverse the reflection, and I think Rodrigo was also saying that on the chat, but I think it's also should be on the other side as well, not just the moving backwards, but also it should be on the other side, because it looks to me like the trees are on the other side of the street. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm guessing these streets probably should be on this side, and it should go reverse. So the best way to find this out is just to go to the street and see how that works for real. I'll find a film that has a similar thing. There's a lot of films that have that have this. For example, comes to mind, I just top of my head, I remember the film that has a similar scene. There's a film called Widows, which is a film from Steve McQueen, and that film has like a very long shot where the camera is outside the car and you see the reflections on the wheel on the glass. Maybe use that as a reference for how the reflection should look like, and you'll see that they should be going backwards and they should be going on the other side. So that would be one thing that you say. Now, going back to the keying, how did you accomplish this? Was it mostly keying, or did you also do some rotoscoping?
Yeah, maximum in this footage I did key. I just used the key light for the keying. Like I created a edge key and a core key and this. In some place there is an extra unwanted marks in the plate. I removed that with a roto paint.
Okay, I see. I can still see some problems with your key. So especially on the back window here, you have quite a lot of noise happening on the edge of these windows. Especially, it's like shimmering and flickering quite a lot. So it looks to me like you probably have some holes on the mat, both on the back window there and also on the seat belt. So it looks like maybe if you look at your alpha channel, you might find some holes there. Maybe the best way would be to look at the alpha channel in Nuke and just gamma all the way down and exposure all the way down to see if you can find the holes in the mat and then paint them in. So especially on the back corner there, I saw them. And also there's a lot of things as well, like your edge on the front windows as well, it is also looking like it's semi-transparent. So, because you can see the houses are going across a little bit. So, need to be careful with that and just make sure your edges are all solid and they're all opaque, you know. That would be one thing I would say to you. And this is throughout the whole shot. You have that problem as well on this back. So, you have the problem, you can see my mouse, right? Correct?
Sure.
Yeah. So you have that problem on the left side window on the back, which you have shimmering and some noise. You have the same issue happening, shimmering and noise on this back window on the right side. So it's both on the right and on the right and the left side. And then of course the edges on the front windows are also looking a little bit semi-transparent. So maybe have a look on your entire keying setup if you have holes on your mat. That would be what I would advise you to do, to try to get that to work. Now, looking at the way that you did the sky and everything, I think that's looking good, especially because I can kind of notice that the glass of the windows of the cars on the back, they look like they're shaded. They look like they're a little bit lower in terms of darkness. So I think you did a good job, in fact, in making it look like that there is like a little bit of a shade, so that the blue sky is a little bit tinted on the back. So I think that's good. Now, the other thing as well that I would also advise you is that it kind of looks to me like you probably went a little bit too far with the light wrap. So the light wrap, the best way of you light wrapping so that you have spill of light around these edges, which because it's really bright outside, is for you to actually make it more spread. So instead of having it thinner, have it more spread so that it looks more realistic in terms of diffusing of lighting. And the other thing as well that I would say is that looking at her face and looking at the dude's face, I would probably assume that the light on the background would be brighter, because we're exposing to our face and we're exposing to the inside of the car, and you see the interior of the car. So if we're exposing to the interior of the car, the outside windows and the outside environment would be brighter because, you know, it's sunlight as opposed to inside a car. So if as soon as you expose something inside the car which is this dark, the outside almost would bloom out and probably would overexpose a little bit. So those kind of little details would bring in a bit more realism to your composite for sure, you know? Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, cool. And I hope you don't mind me saying all these things, and I hope
No.
you're okay with all of that. Yeah. Okay, good. I'm always like checking. Because you never know if people get like annoyed or upset. You know, I'm trying to give you constructive feedback. And in fact, I think that I really think you did a great job. You know, especially because you're a student, you're not even that experienced yet. You're doing it for a short amount of time. I think you did a wonderful job on what you've achieved so far. But it is requiring that extra 10% to make it really, really good. You know, so that would be what I would say. Okay, cool. Let's move on to next shot. So next shot, we have this robot. So this is from Rebel Way Advanced Comp. So the first question I have for you is that, did you do the entire thing by yourself, or did you just follow the tutorial that they already had? So just wanted to ask you that.
Actually, I got this footage. Actually, I didn't bought this course. I got this plate from my friend and I comped with this. I watched the tutorial, but I did this by myself.
You did your own version, right?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, the background
Great.
is different, and I didn't got the same background.
Great. That would be my advice to everyone here watching, all of you watching here, and everyone that is starting out. Like, whenever you do a tutorial and whenever you do a course, never do the shot like the course. Like, just do it differently. Just do changes. Do your own spin on the shot. The reason for that is because if the course is famous, like this one, everyone knows the output of that shot, and then they won't believe that you did it. They'll just believe that you just followed the instructions. This is one of the reasons why on my Nuke course, I don't do the final, like, we never do the final shots. I never show them the final shot. I give them the footage and I show them how to do it, but I never go through the step-by-step to make the shot, because that is up to the artist to do it. That's very important for you and for all the artists watching here to actually do it yourself and to have your own version. So that I'm glad you did that. Okay, so keying, reflection, paint out, lens effects, and glow. So the thing that I would say about this is that I think you did a good job. I feel like it's not like it's a hard key. It's a quite simple key. Let's be honest. There's no hair. There's no it's a much more simple key than the shot before. So in terms of keying, it's a very basic shot. So you did a good job. I can see that you've done. Most of the key is done good. I like your depth of field, looks nice. I think you did a good job with your grade. It's a creative spin that you did with this.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say is that it looks to me like you've overdone it with the light wrapping. Your light wrapping of your spill of light coming towards the image is making the whole thing soft. It's almost like you have a glow, almost like you have Vaseline in the lens. And if this was shot with a real camera, I don't believe you would get this much glowing in the metal. You would get so much glowing in the Lightroom, on the light wrap. And in fact, I would say to you as well, if a cinematographer would shoot this way, they would probably get fired because you're not supposed to put it glowing. You know, this is like a 1920s. That's when we used to glow things on film. This is glowing too much. You have too much glow. Try to bring it to the ground. Try to bring it to a more realistic way. I've always seen over glowing on projects and people. Most people put too much glow on things. I've done that as well. I've unfortunately done that, sometimes because clients ask for it, or sometimes because I overdid it. But just because this is your own project, I think you have a chance here to not overdo it. So that would be the only thing I would say that doesn't really work. It's this glow in this light wrap, which is too exaggerated. You need to tone it down as well. The other thing as well that I would say is that if this was this bright, this environment, see this enormous cloudy sky, which is basically a huge diffuse box, like a gigantic diffuse box, I would never believe that it would not be lighter. the dude would be brighter because the light would bounce in front of him as well. So, because the sky, of course, doesn't exist just on the back. It exists on the front as well. There is sky in front of you. And so, basically, what you should get is like the light should be also hitting the front of him. And for me, the mask in the front should be brighter. There should be much more bounce light in the jacket here. There should be much more. It shouldn't be this dark. And let me just double check if you even have. Yeah, you have them. You see, if you look at the original, there is enough information. So don't make it so dark because it almost. I mean, let me put it this way. If this was on a film where this dude would go to a door and, imagine in front of him there's a door. And then you would not have bounce of light because the door is there. But we've seen that shot before, so we know there's a door, and that's why it doesn't have the light. So we've seen it in context, and we've seen him on an environment. The problem you have here is that we don't see that in the shot. We don't know what's happening on before and after. And so you need to assume that there should be light in the front there. So that would be what I would say. So not remove, but lower the glow, lower the light trap, add a bit more light to the front of him, and then I think you'd be great. You'd be great on the shot.
Yeah.
And again, these are like very tiny details, and I think you did great. Let's in the beginning on the stream, like you said to me that how long have you been using Nuke and doing this kind of stuff?
7 months to 8 months, I think.
That's impressive, man. Congratulations, because 8 months to already do this kind of work, like that's very good. So you are pretty much on the right track. Just keep going, because that's less than a year. So very, very well done. So that's good. That means you have a good eye and you already have a good understanding. Okay, so let's move on to the next shot. So this shot here, what's going on here? Where is this from? Is it like a personal project? What's going on?
Yeah, it's my personal project. While I creating a showreel, I'm searching where should I find a CG stuff for my comp. So I did some stuff from Quixel and Unreal Marketplace, and I did this in Unreal Engine.
Okay.
With Niagara, fog, and fire, and I rendered it and I composited in the Nuke.
Okay, cool. So here's my thing. This is now, don't get me wrong, this is very impressive what you've done here, especially with Unreal. But this is so far your worst shot so far. There are several things that are now a problem here. So from a photographic point of view, this is why I'm always telling people to take photos and going out and take photos. So there's a bunch of problems. You have a nice, okay depth of field going on in the front, but there is almost no depth of field on the back. So it's a bit weird that your depth of field is kind of like leaving those mountains on the back completely sharp. It's almost like you either keep everything sharp or you have everything blur. So you need to make a decision, maybe perhaps put less blur on the depth of field on the front and leave it like that, more sharp, or just go all steam ahead and give it more depth, give it more defocus on the back, so that's less depth, The problem with less depth, though, like the less depth you put, the more a miniature it will look. It will look more and more like a miniature. So you need to also be careful with that. So that's problem number one. I think your depth of field needs some work. Problem number two is your displacement. Your displacement is very fake at the moment. And this has to do with the fire itself is okay, but the layer of displacement that you're using is looking to me like too fast and too displaced. So heat, usually what happens is that you have the displacement happening on the top of the fire, not on the bottom of the fire. So I would recommend you to, first of all, to make the displacement wider and less pronounced, so it would be less powerful, the displacement, but also the displacement should go and carry on more to the top. So it should go higher and less pronounced so that it's more subtle. It needs to be more subtle. Okay. Now, in terms of the fire itself, there's a couple of problems as well that I can feel. Your fire looks like it's stuck on top of the plane. Like, you need to have a connection between the fire and the plane. And this needs to have black fuselage. You need to have blackness growing here because it's being burned. You either have to have hot metal, which is blended, like the metal is like burning, or you have to have black metal from burning, or it has to be red, pimping hot. You have to have, and also it has to have destruction, so that you feel that there is destruction being done by that fire. Right now, your fire is just on top of the plane, and so it looks like it's not even harming. It's almost like the plane is impervious to fire. It's like the plane is indestructible, and the fire is just on top of it. So you need to destroy the plane and make it look like the fire is actually attached to something, because right now the fire is just on top of everything, you know. So that would be problem number 2. The other thing as well that I would say is that your fire starts really thick and small, and then it becomes much bigger at the end. If this is a shot that we've cut to, the fire was already there, so just make sure you already have the fire intensity. So that's problem number 2. Problem number 3 is the smoke. So your smoke has a problem. So why would we have smoke behind the plane? Because the smoke should be mostly affecting from the fire, and then you shouldn't have such dark smoke in the front without fire. So either you put fire in the front, and then you have so much smoke coming out, or you don't have so much smoke here, and you have most of the smoke on the back, and you keep your focus on the fire on the back and the smoke on the back. So this smoke here, you know, it's like without, like, you know, it's the old saying, like without fire there's no smoke, is right, like something like that. So you need to have some kind of either luminosity or light or shimmering of light or a fire there to have the smoke coming through. Because if it was the smoke at the end of the fire, which I don't believe because the plane is still burning, then it wouldn't even be this kind of smoke. It would be different kind of smoke because it's like the end smoke. And the other thing as well, that the problem that you have is that your smoke starts at the beginning of the shot. So it's almost like, why is this smoke only showing up now and there's no fire? So you see, like it doesn't make any sense. So I would advise you to put just smoke on the back, or two options, or just smoke on back, or put fire on the front. You need to like make a choice, okay? I would advise you to just fire on the back. I don't think you need more fire. I think you just need one fire, but then you need less smoke. So those would be the things. The other thing as well is that your smoke itself is just behind the plane, and there's no sense of three-dimensionality with the smoke. And that is because your smoke looks like it's behind the plane as a layer. So you need to kind of somehow fake dimensionality so it looks like it's inside depth, and you can kind of feel the smoke is actually on top and on the back, okay? That's what I would say to you.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
So as you can see, this shot has a lot of problems. It has a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I haven't even started about the snow and everything. Like, everything else is secondary. You need to fix these things for this shot to work. But very well done of even making a shot in Unreal. This is really good that you're even experimenting with Unreal. But just be careful with the quality, because the quality of your showreel is degrading now. You know, you started strong. You went to another shot which was okay, and now this is worse. So you're like, basically what's going to happen to you is that most recruitment people watch hundreds of showreels, and as soon as they get this interest, they'll just shut down the showreel and move to the next one because there's so much competition. So you have to make everyone watching a showreel really engaged, and as soon as you have a bad shot, you'll lose engagement on the showreel. So be careful with that. So either fix this or remove it. Okay? So let's move on to the next one. That's the breakdown. That's fine. Breakdown, for sure. You need to do a breakdown. And I like the glass, the broken up in the dirt. That's really nice. That's all good. Okay, so what's going on here? Sony Music South. Is this the real project that you were talking about?
Yeah, I did this couple of months ago.
Cool.
When I started compositing.
Cool.
For this shot, I did some pre-perks and sky replacement and roto.
Okay, cool. And this was for a film or a commercial, or what was it?
Yeah, it's a music video for Sony Music India.
Okay, cool. Excellent. Yeah. It's great. I mean, I really have nothing to say. Like, as usually when I say on these streams, when there is like work that is professional work done, there's really not much to say, because I'm assuming you had a supervisor, I'm assuming you had a lead, you had a client, so they would have told you what they wanted. So, you know, I'm not going to give any opinions about it because I'm sure it's what they wanted, you know. So it's,
I did this project alone. by
You did it by alone?
freelancing.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
But what I mean is, like, when you send it, they were happy with it, right?
yeah,
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I mean. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
sure.
Well done. It looks good. I think you did a good job with the cleanup. I think you did a good job with the sky replacement. I mean, the only thing I would say to you, like, is that if I'm going to be picky about it, which is not really necessary because the shot is already delivered. The only thing I would say, if I would be picky about it, is that you kept the shadow of the tree. There should be less shadow. This entire shadow is still the tree from there. That would be what I would say. But that's a quite difficult cleanup. You probably didn't have time to do it, so it's depends on how much time you had to do this job. So it's I'm assuming you didn't have a lot of time. So
Yeah,
so okay, and then next one here. So what's going on here? This is a personal project, right?
yeah,
Yeah. So this project suffers for similar things that you have on the project of the plane. I forgot to mention on the plane shot that you have, one of the problems you have on the plane is that it looks too much like a 2D image. It's the same thing with this one. It looks too much like a 2D image. And I think that's because you can kind of feel that they are flat, that there's no parallaxing going on. And I understand that because you can clearly see it's just cards. So you need to somehow, instead of having just cards like this, you need to project them to surfaces that have three-dimensionality if you want to make this. So it's almost like these bushes here, you should project the bushes into some random rock formation that would look like those bushes. You can probably model that quite quickly or displace it quite quickly. And then at least when it moves, it has some kind of parallax. Same things for the mountains as well and the trees. If they have some kind of depth into them, then you would feel that there was three-dimensionality. Same goes for the water and the waterfall as well. It needs to have some kind of floor, and it can't just be cards. The only moment that it works with cards is if you really have just a side movement. If you have a front movement, you're gonna have some problems with depth, with the depth of the shot. Like the dimensionality of the shot.
sure.
Then the other problem you have with the shot is that your dynamic range is broken, and this could be because this footage is from Pexels, and Pexels usually is very low quality in terms of footage they have. So be careful with the color correction and treatment you've made, because you see here the water foam. This is almost gray now, so it looks to me like you've lost all dynamic range on that foam and on the tip tops of the mountains. So be careful with that, because without dynamic range, the shot will be incredibly difficult to color correct, and so yeah, just be careful with that. But this goes without saying that it's possibly because of the source not being very good. So yeah, but I think it's a good idea, but it's not very well achieved in terms of the dimensionality, movement, and also the color correction. And in fact, if you go back on your breakdown, I haven't seen the real footage, but is the real footage that you've took from Pixels, is it already gray and white like this? Is it already overexposed, or does it? Okay, so
I
then
added some fogs in there.
Yeah.
Fog.
Unfortunately, you're never going to recover that, probably. So that's the problem. Okay, cool. I mean, there's other stuff as well that I would say. I think the trees, the tree lines, the edges are not very well made, so you can kind of see that you need some trees. You need some transparency going on here with the trees, because they are very badly keyed. The same goes for the birds as well. So this shot has a lot of problems, and I think this shot is really something that if you can't fix, you should take out from your showreel, because it's bringing down the quality of your showreel for sure. It's not as bad as the plane. I think this shot is worse than the plane, for sure. So sorry about that.
It's not good. It's my first showreel. I'll improve.
No. I keep saying that, like, because you've only started 8 months ago, I think you are very talented and you've done so much already. So congratulations. Don't let my words bring you down.
No.
Yeah. So don't let me, like, my words bring you down. And the fact, like, you see Frey Yoshi is even saying on the chat here, projection with simple 3D objects would work, and that's true. Like if you already know Unreal, you already know a little bit of 3D, you can definitely make some simple geometry to project these things and learn a bit about projections. Sure. There's quite a few projection tutorials of Nuke online, and you can probably find out some information about that. Okay, let's move on to the next one. So what's going on with this one? Match move, Friedrich from Pixels. What's behind this?
For this shot, I just did a 3D match move. I did a 3D camera track in Nuke, and I exported the track data into Maya, and I added some cones in the track markers. That's all I did this shot.
Okay, cool. So one thing I would say to you is that if you're going to be showing tracking capabilities, I'm okay with your cones. I don't think you should have that kind of fake Ferrari on the. I don't know if it's a Ferrari. It looks like a Ford as well. I don't think you should have that car there. I think the car is just so badly rendered that I think you should just stick with the cones. Now, looking at the cones, it looks to me that you've made a good track, but I would advise you to. Well, first of all, be careful with. It looks to me like you have a rogue checkerboard flying around here, because you can see that there's a checkerboard that is like on the middle of the screen that doesn't move. So I don't know what that is. So you need to be careful with that. Yeah. Those cubes that you have there. The other thing as well is because you haven't put any grids on the floor, it's hard for me to judge if the track is good. So I would advise you to put a grid, like an horizon grid on the floor, so we can judge your track, because from the cones it's a bit hard to find. Now, did you do the correct process of tracking this? Like, did you undistorted the plate and then track it? Yeah. Did you do the whole thing? Okay.
Yeah, cool. I understood it.
Cool. Excellent. So yeah, well done with the track. I think I would advise you to remove the car and to put in some grids to showcase and remove that awkward checkerboard that is on the back there. Yeah. So I would advise you to do that. Now, next shot here, screen replacement. So it's very self-explanatory. Again, you took it from Pixels and put it in the screen replacement. So just immediately looking at it the first time, I can kind of see that you need to work on this. Because let me just, it's easier to show you with the raw footage here. So notice how blurry the footage is. Notice how blurry this is the raw plate. Notice how blurry you have the edge of this phone here, and how much the blur kind of ramps from this side, from the left side, and it kind of gets sharp, and the sharp moment is like here or something. And you can see the finger is sharp as well. When I look at your composite, I see none of that. So your composite is all sharp. So you need to go in and do a fake depth of field. My advice to you would be to use a ramp, pick up a ramp. I just did that recently on a commercial I did for Zeiss. Pick up a ramp, and use a ramp from black to white to fake your depth of field. And basically use that ramp that is attached to the screen as the depth pass to the ZD focus or the bokeh shot, the bokeh node. And then you will get the depth of field of the rotoscope. This would be blurred, and then coping would probably be sharp. So you would get like that fallout of the depth of field, because all this text on the side here should be blurred, because again, refer back to the plate. This is an advice I'll give you, and I'll give everyone on the chat here. Always look at the plate. The plate tells you everything. And if you look at the plate very carefully, you can kind of see that the plate has all of the information you need. It's extremely blurry, and your screen replacement should also be that blurry, just like this screen is here. So I think, in having said that, I think this is very poor compositing skills here that you're showing me, and so you need to be careful with this shot, because the bread and butter of compositing in the world is often screen replacements. Screen replacements are one of the most common things that people do on films, on TV, on everything. So it's like super common. We do this all the time. There's so much of it on productions. Sometimes the majority of the shots are screen replacements in phones and screens and TVs. So you need to nail this if you're going to be hired. Because if you're going to be hired, you need to be careful that they're going to look at this as a skill set that you need to have. Okay, so
Sure.
now the other thing I would say is that I would advise you, just like Frank Yoshi is saying on the chat here. Good point that he is helping me with the showreel here. Thank you so much. Thanks so much, chat, because the chat has been invaluable with some feedback, which is great. And I must remember everyone watching that you can always watch these streams again as a recording after, and the chat is there still, so you can still watch it with the chat. And I always add chapters to the video so that you can actually go to the correct showreel. So there's be chapters, but the thing that Furuyoshi is saying is really well mentioned. This is a screen grab from the desktop, and you can kind of see that the text is cut. I would advise you to go to your phone and actually go to the rotoscoping tab of Wikipedia and screen grab the mobile version of the screen. Because the mobile version would format the text to the size of your screen. And then you basically would composite the mobile version of the website and not this one. The other thing as well that you're missing is that most browsers on phones have the rest of the browser interface. So you're missing the place where you put the path of the browser. You're missing the back, forward, and bookmark buttons. If you look at your browser on your phone, it has a bunch of menus and interfaces. You're missing that because normally when we browse on the phone, it's never a full screen thing. Okay, so keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Attention to detail is very important on compositing, so keep that in mind. Okay, so move on. Is this the last shot? I think it is the last shot. No, last shot is this one. So tell me a little bit about this. So rotoscoping, and I can kind of see that you did a good job with splitting up the shapes. If anything, I would say that maybe perhaps you need to split it a bit more because it's a bit loose, like you're missing a shape here, for example, here with this part. You're missing the shape of the strap as well here. So if anything, I think you need to cut it more. Almost like in here, you need to also have a one for the shoulder pad and then you have one for the bicep. So it's good that you've cut it in shapes, but I think you need to put more shapes to control the edges a bit better. Because I think you're missing this edge here is a bit weird, for example. So you see this would never be this round because you basically have the hoodie, and then you have the strap of the trousers, and you would see the details of those things. So be careful with that, okay?
Sure.
Oh yeah, and GLM Studio has a good point. You're also missing not only the browser on the last shot, but you're also missing the time, network signal, and battery icons.
Yeah.
I would advise you to just screen grab your phone and use that image. Just that. Like basically would be the best way. Or record your screen. I'll
correct that.
Yeah. And Bruno is also suggesting some dispel to the thumb. That is also correct. I mean, I've stopped talking about that shot because I think the shot is so poorly done that I'm not even going into other things that are problematic. Like your edge is too sharp, which I think the depth of field will fix it. But definitely your spill here on the finger, like Bruno says, is incorrect. You need to dispel it more. Okay, so rotoscoping, like I said, try to break up more shapes because you're missing the shoulder pads, you're missing the hoodie, you're missing the strap here of the jeans. You just need more shapes to make this rotoscoping higher quality. But it's a good start. It's a great start. But it's wobbling a bit because you don't have enough shapes into it. Okay. And that's it, really. And that's why it's wobbling. You see, especially here, you see, because you don't have enough shapes. You can clearly see it here. Look on where I have my mouse. Look at the top here.
Yeah.
If I go frame by frame, it goes pop, and then it goes. You see that pop? You have multiple places on your roto that you have this problem, and this is mainly because you haven't split it more. You need to split it in more shapes so that you can control all these pops and you can control all these things. Okay. Okay, that's it, really. So, as you saw, very good showreel, but there's quite a lot of things. So, to recap, there's a few issues with this shot that you need to address with the reflections and the edges. There's quite a lot of, there's very little things to address on this shot, which is just the light and the light wrap and glow. It's very, very simple to fix. Then you have quite a few things to fix on the Fire there. So if you want to watch this showreel again, review, you can just go back into YouTube and you can watch it again if you want to have more details.
Sure.
And then after that, we have this one, which I have nothing to say. This one has some dynamic range problems and some edge problems and some depth problems as well. And then, and by the way, for me personally, I don't think it matters for you to show the interface. I don't really care where it was done, how it was done. I just care if it's good. That's the thing. So showing me the Nuke cards, it doesn't matter really. You just want to focus on showing the final shot because the client is never going to see this. Okay. So and then last but not least, we have the tracking markers here, which I would put a grid and remove the car. You would add depth of field on and also the interface of the phone here, and fix the edge of the phone and the finger, and then rotoscoping, breaking it up a bit more. So you have some work ahead of you, but let's all remember, everyone watching today, that you've only started working 8 months ago. So this is incredibly well achieved for 8 months. I think you are really, really in a good track. And you already have a very good showreel for someone that started 8 months ago. So congratulations with that. But you do have a lot of things to do before you can be hired. Right now, you won't be hired. I think right now your showreel is lacking quite a few things, So cool, man.
Yeah, sure.
So any questions?
No.
No questions? No things you have to say more? Okay, cool. As you can see on the chat, people are saying that it's really good work for 8 months. People are happy with it. Okay, cool. Well, as you can see, people saying congratulations. So I'm happy for everyone to be supporting you like that. I'm going to stop sharing my screen because we don't need to stop sharing anymore. And so we're going to go and say goodbyes then. So you are always welcome to come back. As you probably noticed on my show reviews, I have a lot of people that come back with a better reel. I've actually had people that came back 2 times already. So please make sure you come back. Make sure you bring the show reel again. We would love to see it again. We would like to see the version 2 of this, version 3. And good luck with everything, my friend. I hope you the best, and I hope you get a job as fast as you can,
Yeah, sure. I'll be back.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for everything, and I'll see you later.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Okay. Where's my mouse? My mouse is a little bit laggy here to end the call. Okay, well, thank you so much for that wonderful reel. It was great to see the work and to see the progress. We are, of course, like always, we're going to do a break. We've been on for an hour. Again, thank you so much. There's so many people watching. I'm very happy. I love the chat. That chat is giving a lot of nice feedback. Also helping me with the show reel. So it's much appreciated for you to be helping me. I'm really glad to say that. Also, I would like to thank Varsash. I think that's how I pronounce your name. Varsha, I think that's how I pronounce your name. Thank you so much for your kind words. You've been saying a lot of kind words during the chat. Much appreciated for all your kind words. So much appreciated for that. And all the kind words of everyone on the chat here. So we're going to be doing a break now. As you know from Nice Stream, we do a responsible stream here. We always do a break every hour. And so we're going to do a break for 10 minutes. I'll put a timer. You can do a timer as well. Be sure to drink some water. Be sure to go and stretch your legs, get up on your chair for 10 minutes, and then we come back in 10 minutes. Once we come back, we have a second showreel for review, and then we have the giveaway as well. Don't forget the giveaway is for my Nuke course for free. So be sure to tune in, and I will be back in exactly 10 minutes, okay? I'll see you all very soon. Don't go anywhere. I'll be back in 10 minutes. Okay, we are now back. Welcome everyone again. So thank you so much for still sticking around. Much appreciated that I can see that most people are still here. So thank you. Can't thank you enough. I just can't thank you enough. So if you missed the beginning, don't forget that we have a lot of live streams going on. So don't forget that, including next week on Tuesday, I'm going to have Victor Perez here at Hugo's desk on my channel, as a guest. He's going to be talking about his new book. So Victor Perez, the famous VFX supervisor, buddy of mine, and he's going to be here talking about his book and talking about ACEs and color pipelines. And then on the 8th of December, don't forget, I'm going to be running the full stream of the World VFX Day for 12 hours. It's going to be the longest stream I've ever done. And we're going to have multiple guests, multiple people, multiple VFX houses, VFX Society, Access VFX. There's going to be a bunch of people coming into the show. A lot of people are going to be talking. It's going to be a one stream that no one will ever forget. That's for sure. So, as always, you know that we're going to have a giveaway at the end of the stream. I've posted the giveaway link on the chat. I've also posted the link of my Nuke course if you're interested. I have 2 Nuke courses if you're interested. And we also have the VFX Notes podcast. Don't forget all of that. So, yeah. But like I said, you can always replay this video. I'm going to add chapters later tonight. And then you can just watch the whole thing with chapters. And you can like navigate through the stream and just skip all the dead zones. So, without further ado, we're going to do the second showreel review of the day. So, I'm going to just start it off and see if they are here. Let's just start it off. Let's see here. So, I wonder if they are here. So yeah, I'm gonna see if I've seen him on the chat. So Stefan was on the chat. So I'm assuming Stefan will join any minute now. So I've switched on. So Stefan, if you can hear me, just join. Oh yeah, I can see you here. So cool. I'm gonna bring you in and see if we can hear you. Let's see here. Okay.
Hugo.
Yes.
Hello.
We can definitely hear you. Okay, cool. So everyone is watching as well. So Stefan, thank you so much for joining. Stephen, sorry. I'm so sorry.
No worries.
Stephen. So Stephen, thank you so much for joining and much appreciated for sending the showreel and also to communicate with me offline. And thank you so much for confirming everything.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, man. Excited to do this.
I know it's a bit early for you. I know that. So apologize for that.
It's 9.
So why don't you tell everyone here? Give us a little bit of background story of where you're coming from, what do you do, what do you work, what are your dreams and aspirations? Tell us everything.
Oh man, well sure. So I've been interested in VFX from a really young age. I started stop motion back in 2007, and I've learned a lot of. I learned Blender, I learned After Effects. Since then, I went to film school, not specifically for VFX, but I did do VFX for pretty much everyone at the school at one point or another. And then after that, I worked on the Avatar sequels as a render QC for a few years, and then I moved to PostViz for a little bit, but that ended back in June, so now I'm currently just freelancing. So this reel is just a collection of a lot of either freelance or school projects work that I did within the last 5 years since my last reel. And yeah, curious to get your thoughts on it. It's very much it's not a very technical reel. It's more for, smaller directors, producers to just get a sense of my work. And it's very much if I had the choice of, this is a really, really good phone screen composite as opposed to this is a really cool like flashy effect, I chose to go with the more flashy effect because I just wanted to make the reel kind of fun. Just with that in mind, that's kind of where this reel is coming from. It's not tailored to a specific trade like compositing or generalist. It's just kind of like a hodgepodge of different stuff.
Yeah, I understand that, of course. And there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
My hope would be to eventually become a supervisor at a house, probably somewhere.
Yeah,
because a lot of the projects I was either on set or they just sent me the footage. But I do like to be on set for a lot of the stuff that I work on.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
You do as well.
No, I like to be on set as well, and I'm on set a lot of times. But yeah, no, I know what you mean. It's a wonderful moment to be on set because you get to meet a lot of really talented people. You get to film everything, and you get to have a lot more control on what you are doing, and really saving a lot of time for later on, for sure.
Oh,
because
you have the director's ear, and you can get all the plates you need and lighting references.
Exactly. And it's just like I always say to everyone, like at least once in their life, they should always go on set because you learn more in a day of a film set than you learn in like months and months of any school, film school, or any school whatsoever. It is like
100%.
it's just like full on. in a couple of hours you get so much information. So it's just amazing to be on set for sure. I love it as well. Yeah. Well, anyway, that's great. And I'm also glad to hear this because we are lacking people on set. That's the biggest issue we're having. So I'm happy to see that more people want to be on set because some people don't like it. I have a lot of, especially in bigger companies, I have a lot of friends of mine that are very high up on the company, but they went in once or twice and they hated it and they never want to go back, and which is a shame because maybe they had a bad experience. I've had bad experiences as well, but it's like sometimes it's bad, sometimes it's good. It kind of depends on how the production is run and how it was produced and the budget and everything. So, but
I just like the quick thinking on your feet, like having to work with the camera team and just adapting to the situation.
It's the troubleshooting. The troubleshooting is my favorite part, and it's just like so quick. And in fact, that is actually, I just recently directed and was on a commercial for Zeiss, and I was on set for a few days for that, and I learned a lot again for the first time I did a volume shoot because I haven't done volumes until now. This was the first time, and I'm so happy that I have so much documentation for this shoot that I've done because I was directing, so I got to get a lot of behind the scenes. I got a lot of footage. I got people in to just photograph and film everything. So I'm making a course about that because I really feel that there's not a lot of information out there of how a set is operated and who does what are the roles of people, and so I'm building that up for next year to really try to explain to people. Of course, I'll never be able to showcase on a course anywhere near how a set is, but at least I can explain the roles and have photos to back it up and try to somehow explain a little bit of how it is, So, I'm really looking forward for that.
That's
okay.
Cool. I actually did a volume shoot recently. Can I really quickly tell you about it?
Yeah,
You'll
of course.
appreciate this.
Yeah, of course.
So it was not a volume wraparound. It was basically just a glorified rear projection.
Yeah.
And the person operating it didn't really know what he was doing, and so what we ended up having to do is just bring up Photoshop and just put a blue background and use the paintbrush to add some tracking marks.
Oh my
just
god!
Because they couldn't get Unreal to do the camera moves we needed.
Yeah.
So it was a good learning experience for sure.
It is very difficult. We've had when we were shooting this commercial, we had multiple issues as well. It really delayed the shoot for sure. It was a wraparound LED. It was it was the largest European LED screen, which is in Germany, in Munich. It's called Hyperbole. But there was a lot of gremlins under the machine. Unreal sometimes doesn't work properly. Sometimes it crashes. Sometimes it goes down. Sometimes it loses sync. There's all sorts of gremlins that sometimes would take us hours to just be up on our feet to actually shoot the shot. So it is not as straightforward as people think, for sure. It is not.
No, absolutely not.
And it requires a lot of maturity, which I think people need to let it mature and give it time for it to really work. And it really works for certain things, and it doesn't work for a lot of things. And I think, from my experience of talking with other supervisors and talking with friends of mine on set, there's a lot of things that they try to push that are the wrong things that they should be pushing there. And then 10 out of 10, most times, they end up replacing it all anyway. So it's a lot of times they end up doing the roto. The advantage, of course, is that at least they don't have the spill. They just have the proper reflections on it. But it's not...
Good luck with hair.
It's not as easy as everyone thinks, for sure. Productions with hair, a lot of times they just end up doing CG hair to try to replace it because it's just not easy enough. So that also... Because a lot of people you know how the hype is. A lot of people on YouTube always hyping that green screen is dead. It's not dead at all. It just doesn't replace it for sure. And this is why you still see to this day behind the scenes of Marvel movies with blue screen and green screen, because it is not a replacement and it doesn't work for everything you're doing, for sure. Yeah. So I'm glad you said that, because I got a lot of heat a couple of years ago when on the podcast that I do with Ian, from Before and Afters, I was telling everyone how many problems the LED has and how it's really not as good as everyone thinks. And man, people really, really jumped on me, saying, "No, what are you talking about? This is amazing. This is replacing green screen. We're never doing green screen anymore." And years after, we're back again on square one, and we're doing it just a few times. But this is
with the smaller productions, you really have to have your stuff together on set. If you don't, it's just going to be a nightmare in post.
Yeah, and also the other problem as well, as I see it from my experience, is that Unreal is just a company that is not. Sometimes they're not fully focused on this, and I feel like Unreal is still maturing and it's still not really on par to the tools that we need, So, but anyway. I'm going to stop shitting about LEDs. Let's just jump into your showreel.
Let's do it.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen like I said before on the other showreel. I think you were here. I saw you on the chat. Forget about the YouTube stream because it's so delayed. There's no point of you watching that. So I'm going to share my screen on Zoom so you can see the same as I see.
I have the chat up still, but yeah, I'll just minimize that.
The chat will be fine, but keep in mind that we're about 25 to 20 seconds delayed on everything. So it is always going to be a bit tricky. I'm going to take away the sound, okay? Because I'm always getting flagged on YouTube, and I don't want to do that. Just don't want to be flagged on copyright strike on the music.
Sure thing.
Even if the music was cleared, because last stream I did 2 weeks ago, the artist told me, "No, don't worry, this music is cleared." And then, lo and behold, I got flagged on YouTube anyway, even with the cleared song. And so that entire section had to be muted. So it was very infuriating from YouTube's point of view, although the music was cleared. Okay, so I'm going to play it for a second just in looping, just so we can talk a little bit about it. So tell me a little bit about what is this? Like, is this mostly production and some private work, or is it only production that we see here on this showreel?
I would say it's 2/3 freelance work and maybe 1/3 just shots that are left over from stuff I did in school.
Okay.
And it's all just the really interesting looking shots for the most part.
Yeah. That's cool.
And it's a lot of different work. I would say most of it is not passion projects. Most of it is either stuff I was hired for outside of school or stuff that I helped with in school.
Yeah.
So it was all stuff that was filmed with a purpose. So there's not a lot of fully CG shots. A lot of it is fully. There's some practical base to it, which I complemented or added stuff to. A lot of it, I think, almost all of it was shot on professional REs or Reds or Blackmagics for the most part.
Yeah. You can tell. You can
quite a lot of different stuff.
Yeah, you can tell that immediately on the showreel that the footage is very professional for sure. You can kind of tell it has enough dynamic range and it's like really actually looking good. Well, I have to say, your showreel is great. It's really good, and this is my kind of showreel. Like if I would have done a showreel lately, because that's the kind of showreel I like. I like a showreel that just has a mix of things, some creative stuff. I don't really. To be honest, and I know this is gonna sound weird because I'm so well known for compositing, but I am not a fan of photorealistic things because I'm just like it dates it so well, like it goes out of date so quickly, and that's why I've always most of my career worked in commercials and worked in cinematics and worked in short films and long short-term projects because I just don't like this obsession trying to get to realism. I just prefer creative stuff, weird stuff, stylized stuff. I just prefer that kind of stuff because I just feel that.
And if you shoot it, it's already photoreal, so you have that
exactly,
as a reference.
Exactly. I just feel like that kind of stuff is that it doesn't get dated so quickly, because as soon as you do something with a lot of CG heaviness, it becomes very dated very quickly, and it's going to become a problem a couple of years later, unless you've done a stellar job. But even if you've done a stellar job, just look at the movies that we know from the 2000s. They looked great by then, but they don't look good anymore. So it's like it looks good by the times that you're watching it, but then it stops becoming a problem. Oh, sorry, I forgot to loop it. Apologies for that. Should have looped this thing. So congratulations. I think your showreel is great, and it's the typical, I worked for a long time at the mill, and the mill was like the place of this kind of stuff, like this kind of work where we did everything. Like basically the company would do everything. We were like thousands of people working there, and it was like groups of like 10, 15, 20 people of working on one project, and we had a mix of everything from music videos to shorts to films to commercials to weird little idents to motion graph. I don't know. I think we did everything there. And so this is the kind of showreel that you probably would get hired on a place like that because this is the kind of stuff they do all day long. Because a lot of people just know the flashy work that those companies do, but there's a lot of other work that never gets that mentioned because there's there's not enough space to show all the work that they do, because there's so much work going through those companies. So and also like sometimes the companies prefer to just show certain things and not show others. So that's also the case. Like half of the stuff we did never showed up on the website, because it wasn't either good enough or important enough to be on the website, So it's like those kind of companies, big companies don't really they don't put everything on the website for sure. But having said that, like, let's start from the beginning. I mean, I don't have a lot to say, I'll tell you that, because like I said, I think your showreel, whenever I review showreels here on this show, which are commercial showreels, if you watched my streams, you've noticed that I don't really have a lot of opinions. The reason for that is because I work for a living on this kind of project, and I know for a fact how much, feedback, client interference, lack of time and budget could prevent a shot from being good. So whenever it's a production shot, if I see something wrong with it, I'm assuming they didn't have time or no budget, or they were interfered by a client. Because if there's a real production, if it's a real film, or if it's a real commercial, there's no way that the shot would look bad in purpose. It would look bad if you were not allowed to do it good. That's the problem. And so a lot of times I see these kind of issues on shots, and I'm kind of like, well, I know, I've been there. I've been there where we did 50 versions and version 20 was the good one, and then version 30 is not the good one anymore. So it's like, it bounces like quite a lot. So that's going to be my... Like, for the audience to know, like, I'm not going to really say much about it because it's mostly production shots. Okay, but let's start with the first one. What's going on here? So this is a quite cool shot with the vodka glass opening up halfway. This is a commercial, I'm assuming, for vodka.
It is.
Yeah.
It was made for both a vertical and horizontal version, so what you're seeing is the horizontal.
Cool.
But there's a whole top and bottom that got cropped off for the mobile ad version of it.
Cool.
But yeah, this was all done in Blender. With a little bit of After Effects on the top.
Cool.
There's two different scenes, and there's a transition that happens near the end where it transitions from fully CG to a version that has some real life elements that were not exactly composited in, but this was made from like a 360 video in the background and some photogrammetry sand stuff that I scanned, a couple different elements. And then the shell obviously is a bought, and the bottle itself was an asset that another artist worked on, and I just used it to be the centerpiece and just build everything around it and animate it and all that good stuff. It
looks fantastic. I mean, I have to say, it looks fantastic. I mean, it's like I said, like, there's two ways of putting it. Like, if it's for a commercial, which it's the case, like, I think it's perfect and it's great and it really has not much to say. If it was for a film, then of course there would be some issues not issues, but like certain things that would be addressed, because if it was for a film, they would have had more time to address it. Like the sand would have more detail, and also the water simulation would have more detail, would be more well made, because you probably would have another person doing the water simulation alone.
Yeah.
But I think you did a fantastic job. I think the motion blur is spot on. The look of it, the style of it looks great. I mean, I really have nothing to say. And I love the transition at the end, because it definitely looks like a real beach, and just like any commercial, like, you just watch it once anyway, so you definitely sell this idea that this is real, and the whole thing is photoreal and realistic quite a lot, and especially because it's a lovely shot. It's a beautiful shot. So well done, my friend.
Thank you.
It's a really good shot. So this is this like just for a one-off, this commercial, or did you also work on other shots on this commercial?
There was another similar angle where the camera just pulls out instead of just orbiting that they used on a different ad for the same kind of batch of ads, but this was the most work by far. Like, I extrapolated all the other extra stuff from this core shot.
Yeah. So that's why you don't have it there as well. Yeah, it makes sense. Okay, cool. Well, let's move on to the second one. So what's going on here? So large
this is just
set extension
a map
and
painting, basically. Yeah. Just a lot of different buildings just added to this LA power plant just to make it look more interesting. And then I just wanted to establish early on in the reel that there will be breakdowns before anybody leaves.
So tell me a little bit, like, is this a commercial, a short film? What is it going on here?
This was a short film from school. It was a graduate thesis that I worked on.
Okay, cool. So looking right away, I think you did a great job with the set extension and the city like city and the flag and not the flag, sorry, the poster and everything. But there is one thing that requires some work for it to be a bit more realistic. I think the light sources of the city itself, I think they're too dimmed. They're too gray out and don't have enough dynamic range. I feel like, especially because, unfortunately, because you have the factory on the front, the factory has some lovely lights and some lovely pings of light. You're kind of missing the pings of light on the city, and I'm assuming you're probably making the city really far away, but even if it was this far away, I think the bokeh of the camera would ping them a bit more. I feel like it would, not much, it's subtle, but I just need a little bit more just to make it a little bit more powerful. And perhaps even if you look at some examples from the web or from footage, or even if you go outside, in any city really, you also notice that the bokeh is quite strong, but it's not even. There's, because of the displacement of the hair and the atmosphere, and also of the heat of the city, or even the daytime or the nighttime, you get this displacement where you get some bokehs that flicker and others turn on and off, and you get this kind of like in different levels of brightness on some of the bokehs. So you're missing that as well. Not only the intensity of them, but also the different intensity of lights that would be on the back, because some buildings would have more light, other buildings would have less light. And so that would be what I would say that is missing on this shot to make it absolutely stunning. It's a good shot for sure, and it's a small thing that I'm saying, but definitely would rise it up to make it even better. So
I'm trying to remember, because this was years ago, but I think there was a layer, I don't know if it shows up, but there was some distortion to kind of address the light, the
shimmer
distortion, the atmosphere. The shimmer, exactly.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I don't know.
I know what you mean.
The dimness is just smog because it's the future.
Yeah.
But,
I guess you're right. Like, yes, it's difficult because we don't have an establishing shot. Because if this was on a film, if we'd have seen the multiple shots before with the fog, maybe we would have believed this. But since I don't see the shots before, it's always hard to notice. But if even if you had this much fog, then it's going to be hard for me to believe that the factory wouldn't have any of it. I just feel like the factory would, at least the front one would at least have, because you show me the raw plate, and when I look at the raw plate, it's I've been in LA many times. It's the typical night on LA, like clear, nothing is there. It's just like pure sky. There's nothing there, and so you clearly see there's no atmosphere, there's no fogginess, there's nothing. And then your city, again, if it was this foggy, then of course, if it was really far away, but then if it was really far away, then it would have to be like smaller, you know what I mean? The buildings could be gigantic, but then the windows would have to be much smaller to make it look like it is kilometers away, almost like the megastructures of like Judge Dredd, like the big buildings, which are like kilometers high, So if that's the case, then the windows would have to be even tinier, and then you could probably feel that way. But yeah, that would be what I would say. Again, small thing, and I think you did a great job. Okay, next shot, we have this really stylized Fast and Furious kind of thing going on here. So tell me a little bit about this.
So this is another school project, and this fun fact about this one, I basically stole the entire lab to render it out. Like, I just assigned each computer 10 frames to render. And this was before Blender had automatic noise removal, so I just had to crank up the samples really high to get this. But it's essentially a couple different layers. There's the core animation, and I think the flames are action elements on a card that's projecting light onto everything. And then the background is just the inside of a tube with streaks to just help sell the motion. And it's just all comped together. I should add, my friend graded this entire reel, so it's not necessarily the same grade as what was in the final film. I just wanted to get everything to pop a little more. But I don't think this one's super different, and I'm not even sure this film's released, but I did get permission from the producer to put it in.
To show the shot, I think it is I think it's a nice shot, but obviously it lacks a few things. I feel like there's some kind of really strange motion blur artifacts going on the shot.
You know what those are? I think I didn't do a good job like highlighting it, but there's a pit of oil underneath the pistons.
Oh, I see.
And the pistons are kicking up the oil and
Oh,
splashing
I
it.
see.
That was part of why the rendering took so long, is because I used ray tracing for that.
Yeah, I see what you mean. The other thing as well is that I'm not really completely convinced about the edges of, like, it looks kind of like the fire is not affecting enough, and we kind of still see some darkness and black edges going on. It could be a premultiplication problem as well on the CG. I'm not sure, but there's some technical issues. But it's so fast. I mean, it's a really highly stylized shot. I think it looks great. I don't really have any problems with this. This is the kind of shot that you would never really do for real. And it's like just like a make-believe going into the motor with some smoke. It's almost like a speed racer kind of shot, like it's completely bonkers. And I think it's cool. Again, these kind of shots are not meant to be photoreal. I think Speed Racer is a good example. I know Speed Racer is very hated by everyone, but Speed Racer is actually a very fascinating film, I believe, because it's a very creative kind of film, and it has some really interesting things on it. Talking about Speed Racer from the Wachowski brothers, 2010.
I don't think I've seen it.
Yeah, so it's like the film they did after Matrix, and I think that's why everyone hated it as well, because it was right after the 3 Matrixes, and I think people were expecting something much, much grandiose and better. But go in and have a watch, because it's a highly stylized film, a little bit kiddish, it's a little bit childish sometimes, but just for the look of it and just for the sheer craziness of it, I think it's worth a watch, because it's just absolutely absurd what's happening on that film. The whole thing just looks like nothing else. I don't think I've ever seen a film like it before or since. So
I'll take a look.
So yeah, have a look. And it at the time it came out in 3D. It's really good in 3D as well, if you can find a copy in 3D, because it was originally done in 3D. It's mostly CGI, the film, so it's very good 3D conversion.
Oh, so it was shot with 2 cameras?
Yeah, no, well, what I meant, like, it wasn't shot with cameras. What I meant is, like, the film has so much CG that it's actually real stereoscopic, because there's so much render on it, because it's very little live action on it. So it's almost, at some points, the film is almost an animated film. So the stereoscopic is real, because it's done with 2 cameras in 3D, So when you're in 3D, you're really good in 3D. Cool. Next up, we have this room. So this is a really cool time-lapse shot that's going on here. So tell us a little bit about this. What's going on here?
So this was a motion control shot. I believe there were about 60 takes.
Man.
And production design went in for every take and just added more stuff.
Jesus.
And I was not involved with production. This was kind of something that was shopped out to me after the fact.
Yeah.
Because I think they lost their old supervisor, so I took over. But this was something where they wanted everything to kind of come in more smoothly, instead of, because if you watched the way it was cut, it would kind of, a bunch of stuff would pop in every couple seconds, and it just didn't look smooth enough.
Yeah.
And so my job was to stretch everything out so that it felt like 1,000 different takes instead of 60. So it was just a lot of roto tracking different items. Every frame I would bring in 1 or 2 items from different takes until, and so it's just kind of a slow blend from take to take, just trying to bring in elements here and there, until everything's there.
I see what you mean.
And then there's items that are there for a really long time, like the bed unfolding.
Yeah.
That was just an element that I had to track over the course of maybe 20 to 30 different takes, and so just replace everything else under it. So there were some items like that, and the TV screen was another constant thing. But
I see.
Yeah, it was a lot of work.
Oh, I can tell. Like, you can clearly tell. It's a great shot, by the way. It's a really nice, creative shot. There's some problems, of course, and I can kind of tell that you probably had some issue with the lining up of the shots from the motion control. This is a very common practice. Motion control is very sensitive, and motion control done well is flawless. And I've been on motion control shoots that have been flawless, and others that I have to tweak everything. And often the ones that are flawless is when they use a real motion control set. Like, I mean, like a one that is like a 5-ton, 5,000 kilograms heavy machinery, gigantic arm that will never move, So that's the one.
Was student production, so they didn't use that.
exactly. Because I've used, a couple of years ago, I used a motion control set in Sweden called Cyclops, which is It's actually bolted to the floor. It's cemented to the floor. So you can run it at 320 frames per second with the red, and it will never shake. There's no shake. Like, it's just like it's bolted to the floor. Unless there's a earthquake, you'll never have a disalignment, you know. So there's like, because I can kind of tell the disalignment, especially on the first one I noticed was the monitor here. Like, there's like disalignment on the TV thing here. See, some frames you have the shelf that goes in and out, and the light as well. Sometimes certain things are like disaligned with things. So obviously it doesn't really matter because it's so quick and it's so artistic looking and it's like so creative that it's kind of the kind of thing that you kind of don't care because it's so cool, the shot. But those little things would definitely be fixed if you had a proper motion control for sure. Unless, because then otherwise you have to start like, you know, morphing things and warping things, and then it becomes a whole
I think I did a fair bit of that too.
But it becomes
to try and fix some of the
but then it becomes a can of worms because then you fix one thing and you break another, and it's just like you just start fixing one thing and breaking three, and then you fix two and then you break five, and it's like because then it warps to one side and warps to the other. I think at some point, if it's not shot correctly, it's never going to happen really sometimes. But it's a great shot. Cool, man. So what's happening here? These numbers, what's going on here?
So this is a practical shot where there just wasn't a mechanism that could animate the things, and so they had a reference for what the little things, I think it's called a flipboard or something, or something like that. So they had a reference of what those things looked like on the inside.
Yeah.
And then they sent me some photo scans of what the flaps looked like, and I just used those as textures, put them on planes, and just created a rig that would animate these cards flipping to end up with that number.
Yeah.
So everything's real except for what you see like on the inside with the moving stuff.
I see. It's really well made. I mean, the motion blur looks great. The flipping looks great. I mean, I don't really have anything to say. Also, I think the depth of field that you've applied to the actual thing looks really good. Looks good integrated.
Oh, yeah. That was tough with the because I think these lenses are vintage, maybe.
Yeah,
so
there's a lot of warp.
Distortion going
there's
on.
A lot of warping on the back. Yeah, for sure. This kind of lens, like, it's really difficult to match, like, unless you do a grid. Because if you film a grid, not only for the tracking, but also the grid will help you, like, for you to notice the displacement and also the chromatic aberrations going on the lens, you know. But
I have a grid, but I just wasn't on set for this, so it was kind of just eyeballing it.
Yeah, exactly. No, you did a good job. I think it's great. Okay, cool. So next shot. What's going on here? Is it commercial, I guess, I'm assuming? That's what it looks like?
Yeah, this is a commercial. This was mostly real. The only CG thing is the tree. But I was on set for this. I took a lot of lighting and 360 photos, HDRI stuff. And I think the tree is a 3D model that I was able to add some soft body physics to.
Cool.
And just add some particles for the leaves coming off of it. And with all the I think I took a series of photos to rebuild the house in photogrammetry as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a portion of the house that I just rebuilt, actually using the actual models of shingles so that I could simulate the shingles crushing a little bit and like flipping around. I don't know if there's actually any physics simulations, but I did like take some hero shingles and make them just toss around when the tree hits it.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
And then the background when the roof collapses, I think I just stole some shrubbery from another part of the shot to fill it in.
Okay. Yeah, it looks great. I mean, I don't really have nothing. I was trying to zoom in, but I don't really see much. Like, it's hard to tell. It's a bit compressed, but if anything, like, kind of looks like the smoke that goes beyond the tree. Maybe it's a bit weird that it's so thick, and so it would have probably been dropped more by that time. I think it's a bit too slow going down, but I think it's a small little detail. But I think it looks great.
The soft body physics don't bother you at all?
No,
that was my biggest thing. Like after the tree lands, the soft body's a little jank.
You know why? Because who knows how it would look anyway? Because it's like. I feel it's such a short shot that you wouldn't really think much about it. Like it's like, oh, the tree came out and broke the rooftop, because you have also have so much break, so much dirt, and so much stuff pulling out. I don't think it's a problem about being bouncing around. Also, trees bounce around a lot, so I could believe that. I mean, it's hard to tell. I don't have a problem with that. And I feel like you did a good job with the tree falling down as well. It's quite realistic the way the tree looks, and the tree is falling down, the motion blur of it as well. So yeah, I think you did a good job. I feel like it's
do
nice.
a lot of searching on YouTube for just trees falling on Spanish roofs.
Yeah.
Just because that was great reference to use.
Now,
it's harder than you think to find the exact reference.
Someone is asking on the chat if the dust is also a sim. Is that a sim, or is it
no,
just...
it's all just elements. It's 2D elements here and there.
You can kind of tell that's for sure.
Yeah.
You can kind of tell that it's 2D elements. That was what was bothering me, was the dirt and the debris, because I'm missing the debris of the roof. Like I'm missing little pieces of the tiles that would drop as well, and little dirt and little pieces of stone that will drop, as well.
I need to learn Houdini.
Yeah. Well, you could also do it with elements as well, if you can find some nice elements to do it, or you can go and shoot some elements. I mean, I've done that as well with some black cloth and just get some dirt and some stones and some stuff and just shoot a bunch of them on your backyard and then comp that in. That could work as well. But yeah, definitely I'm missing like more chunks coming out of it, from it coming out. Okay, cool. So then the next shot, same commercial, I'm assuming, isn't it? Looks kind of the same.
It's actually different commercial.
Okay.
But it is a commercial.
Okay.
And this shot goes with the next one. Obviously, it's two halves of the same effect. But it's pretty standard, just a car disappearing and reappearing.
Yeah.
The second one was more involved because we couldn't physically get the car there.
Yeah, of course.
So you can probably tell it's a little CG-ish. But
yeah,
I was on set for this, luckily, so I did get a lot of good stuff. Like I had a leaf blower, and I was just blowing stuff all around to get that shockwave effect to really sell. Like, the carpet, the little velvet ropes, the trees all around. The car disappearing is, I think, just a 2D comp. I just shrunk the layer and used a clean plate that we shot. But yeah, so this first part is much simpler, and then the second part involved some CG stuff, and then I tried to mix in real elements from the car, because I think the CG model of the car that we found online, it wasn't 100% the same as the real car that we used, so there was some back and forth to try and get those to be as close as possible. And in the end, it's close enough, but
well,
any Mini Cooper fans might be able to pick out, hey, that's not the right detail from the 2011 model or whatever.
I really like your technique with the wind and everything. That's a really nice touch, and you can kind of tell that really gave a lot of nice touch to the shot. So well done on that. And I also like your force field motion blur thing going, like this kind of like field that goes across like a pulse. That's a nice pulse as well.
Anytime I have a chance to do something for real, I always try to do something for real.
Yeah, no, that's how it should be.
As much as I love VFX, like I hate VFX, it
never
absolutely looks quite as good.
Should always be done for real, for sure. And so having said that, there is like a couple of things that right away I saw is that there's like some jumps between your clean plate and your plate. Especially you see like on the back here on the garage, from one frame to the other, we have shadows that move around. And I think that's probably because you're jumping from one clean to the other, and then the shadows, of course, the wind are in different places. And then the second place here you see that is the reflection on the metal bar here. You see that there's a dark reflection of the bar because the car is there, and then it just is gone right away. So that reflection should have also shrinked and should have also moved, or at least dissolved out of the way or something. So those two places are very obvious to me that you notice that there's like some trinkery. Then the rest is lovely. I love the wind. I love the pulse. Everything else is like really great. And I think those are the only two moments. And I don't really bother about the shrinkness. I think it's a nice shrink. I mean, it's a magic effect, really. Like, it doesn't really matter how it looks. Like, it's a cool shrinking thing that you've done there. But yeah, the fact that it jumps from the clean plate to the shadows, and then there's two jumps. There you have the first jump here on this frame, and then you have another jump right before in here as well. So you have those are a little bit distracting because it kind of like is weird that we are seeing those jumps. Less distracting is the metal rod because that's hardly you see it, but the one on the shadow there you notice more. So that's this shot. This shot is I usually notice these things. That's my life usually, swimming in 800% and noticing things. I'm also watching this on a very large screen. I'm watching it on a 32-inch in front of me, so it's quite big. So now the second shot, I think you have some problems here because as much as I understand that you can't shoot the car as well, of course you can't. But if you really want to shoot it for real, there's other ways. You could have done a miniature at least to help you with some of the car, and then you would have added to that miniature. That would have been option one, to have a really well-detailed miniature of this car and then shoot it practically with either forced perspective or actually have it on set with a different lens and a different like a different angle, and then basically calculate, okay, let me think, okay, let's imagine that this is, I don't know, 35 mil. I don't know if it is, but like, let's imagine it's a 35 mil. So if we're going to do a miniature, then you could calculate how much the miniature has to be shot with what kind of lens for it to kind of then blend into this, So you probably would have had to shoot the miniature with a probably less wide lens so that it would not be so wide to be attached and scaled up to this. So that would be option number one. Then option number two, of course, would be to do a proper, full, realistic CG out of it. Because right now, your car looks a bit weird. Like the reflections look a bit fake and the glass looks a bit fake. It's too clean. It lacks a bit of dynamic range. It just doesn't look as good as the car outside, and which is a shame because the shot before looks great. This shot doesn't look that good. So I apologize for saying that to you, but I just fine. I just feel like
it's funny. I actually did have a miniature car. Like I bought one on Amazon that was kind of the same model.
Yeah.
And so that was one of the lighting references I took in here. But yeah, we obviously didn't have the budget to like miniaturize the whole set to shoot that. But that's a good thought though. I should have.
Well, yes, of course, it's a budget thing always, of course. But what you could have done is like you could have just shot just the car, and then just the car as a miniature, and then rotoscoped it and comped it into this. So you would have had to calculate the lens. This would have had to be tested, of course. You could have tested this somewhere else, on your house, on your living room or something like that. And then you would have tried to calculate what the lens difference would be for it to scale up correctly so that it, because then when you scale up, you don't want to have the wrong lens distortion on that car, and you don't want to have the wrong wideness on it to match this lens. So it doesn't need to be exact, but it could be kind of figured out a little bit. We often do that, like if you really have a lot of budget. I've done this in the past with forced perspective by using motion control, by you calculating the exact size and movement on the motion control rig and then have a lens that would match where it should be in terms of scale. Now, the reflections would be wrong, but then the reflections, you could add the reflections as an extra layer. So then you would have, what I would have done is I would have shot the miniature to have some of it with less reflections, with like as less reflections as I could, and then I would build a CG version of this car and then just render reflection passes to put on top of this car, so that I would have a mixture of real elements and CG elements to kind of mix and match. Because that's the problem the car right now has. I think the car is too CG-ish. And now, then of course, you could also do it in full CG. And I know for a fact that, I've worked with many talented artists in the past that they could definitely do a photoreal mini inside this environment. But you need like a really high quality artist to do a really good texture, a really good scan of the car. You need some really good HDRs being pulled out. Like it has to be done in a very methodical way for the light to be perfect, and the texture and the quality of that texture. Most likely would have had to have a full scan of the car, which you had on the shot before, so you could have scanned it. So it's a lot more work, man. That's the thing. It would be a lot more work and a lot of effort to try to get that to work. But I'm just like making sure to tell you that I think right now it's a shame because it really drops your showreel. I know we've talked in the beginning about the stylization and how cool it is, but this is not a stylization option. It should have been a CG car. It should have been real, this car. That's the thing. So in this case, in this situation, it has to be real because that's what it is. It's a real car that shows up there. So yeah, that would be what I would say. If none of those things work, there's other options. That's what we are on set. That's what we do on set. There's other options as well. Most likely, I would have convinced the production to do it the other way around. I would have convinced the production people to put the real car there and the bed, and then comp that into another room. I would do it the other way around. I would have maybe do a little small stage or a small room that would be sections built and then comped into another photo or something. Of course, the best way would be to have a real set, of course, but
Yeah.
but that way you would have to park the car and then build a set around it. That would be the other way. A lot of
Yeah,
options.
I think this is one of those sets where it's a lot of different sets all in one lot, and so they just don't have a pathway to get in there.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the problem. That's always the issue as well. But anyway, don't mind me. I'm just like shooting out of the blue. I'm just like saying things, like just saying things, and I appreciate that, it's a commercial. It's probably no budget, like it's probably no time. I mean, any of the stuff that I'm saying is like, who gives a fuck? Like it's just a commercial, so it doesn't really matter. Like I know I've been there where we have no time and there's no way we're gonna do any more than this. So I appreciate that it looks okay for probably the time and effort and budget that you had. So that's
I agree with all of all of the notes. Frankly, this was probably a week-long turnaround for less than it should have been.
Well, then it looks amazing. So I put it all back. Okay, let's move on then to the next shot. I like the little touch that the thing moves and goes down. That's really nice. Which you shot for real as well. That really helps to sell the thing. And also the thing on the front there as well, the desk as well. That's nice, nice touch. And the wind again. You use the same wind blower, I guess, to move it.
Yeah, it was just me for 2 minutes, just pointing the thing at different things.
Yeah, that's nice. That's really nice. Okay, cool. I actually think the car, to be honest, the car in terms of CG is not far off. I think it's just the reflections that are a little bit off, and the quality of the dynamic range of the lighting and glowing that is happening on the bonnet here. I think it's really just that. And also the shadow as well. If you look at the shadow of the bed, is much sharper and much more detailed, and your shadow is too soft and doesn't have enough detail like the beds have. So those are the giveaways for me. Like it's the shadows of the bed versus the shadow of the car. The dynamic range of the whole shot, like you see the highlights on the bed here and then the highlights on the car and then the reflections on the car, looks a bit weird. Like I should have been...
You know why that is?
I don't know.
So some of the elements were actually from a series of photos I took of the car on the other set.
I see.
So the headlight is basically rotoscoped onto the CG version because the headlight was different. Same with, I think, maybe the windshield wipers and part of the hood.
I see.
And I think the hubcap as well, because I didn't have a perfect model for that. So that's just stolen from the car photo from another set.
Yeah. And if it's a photo...
It was just anything I could do to make the shot work at that point.
And if it's a photo, it might be that it doesn't have enough dynamic range as the footage of the real camera had. It wasn't shot with the real camera. It was the photography camera,
it was a
right?
Canon. It wasn't the cinema camera.
So you don't have the same dynamic range, and you can kind of tell that right away. Okay. Well, I mean, let's move on. It's fine. So, okay. So this one here, what's going on here? Tell me.
So this is a matte painting. I used a CG skull to kind of give me an example of what a skull would look like if it were in that space. So the base is a photogrammetry scan of the canyon. I think it was Odessa Canyon, north of LA. And what you're seeing there is kind of a cheat because the polygons were actually way more dense than that, but it just didn't look good as part of the breakdown. So I just de-resed it a little bit. But yeah, so I used that photogrammetry scan to cast a shadow on the canyon, and then I replaced the CG skull with bits and pieces from other photography that I took in that area. And it was nice because I think the sun was over the hill a little bit, so everything that I shot was overcast, and so it made it easier because we didn't have to deal with the sun coming from a particular direction. It was all just evenly lit. So I think you can even see a little bit to the right, one of those holes in the canyon I think I used as one of the skull's eyes. So it was basically just taking elements from here and there and just trying to make it look like a skull. I like the way this crack looks. It kind of matches the way that a tooth looks. I'm just going to copy and paste that. It was a lot of just building it out from elements.
Yeah. Now, I would say that you did a really good job, but there's a couple of things that I would probably do different if I was doing this. I feel like because they're exposed, I know it's a cast day, but I can't see the real plate. Like you never really show me the real plate because this is not the real sky that you had on set, I'm assuming. So this is something you put in, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah. Because I can kind of tell because before you put the skull, I see a white edge around it. So because when you're doing the breakdown, if I go a little bit a little back here, you can kind of see that you have like a wet edge going on here. So I've assumed.
Oh, good catch. Yeah.
But
I don't think I broke that down because it was just such a minor thing.
Well, it doesn't matter because it's behind the skull, so it doesn't matter. But I mean, it's gonna be covered by the skull. I'm just like saying that I noticed that it was not a real sky because of that. But the skull covers it. Doesn't matter. But what I was gonna say is that the lighting of this environment, if I go to the last frame, it's quite cast and it's quite dark, but there is like a blue sky up there. So for me, it's a bit of a fight of exposure. Like the exposure is on kind of like a level of them. They're visible. The cave is quite dark, quite black, maybe a little bit too black. I mean, I feel like it's probably too much for the amount of exposure that this shot has, because you can still see the rocks here. And in fact, on the original plate, you still see the rocks. I would believe that more light would come in a little bit, especially because you can still see light coming in on the eyes. And I still see some detail on side these rocks. So it's like, I don't really completely believe that this would be so pitch black, because you would still pick up a little bit of specularity on some of the rocks inside, and it would fade into in the inside. So I think that's too black. I definitely think
it might be the grade, to be fair.
Could be, yeah.
I think my friend was a little dark on some of the shots, and I had to do a couple revisions, but it's still a little bit dark.
Could be. And then the other thing as well is the sky has a really strange tint, a really strange saturation. The blues of it look very weird to me in terms of a blue sky. And the exposure level as well, because you are so exposed on down here, you would have blown out that sky. That sky would be blown out. It would be like exposed. It would be white. You wouldn't see anything. So I wouldn't see the cloud. None of that would be visible because it's so dark down here, and the camera is probably so lifted to try to shoot this that you would never see the sky up there. So there's an exposure issue going on between the top and the bottom for sure. So that would be what I would say. The other thing as well that I would say is that the same way that you have some problems on the mouth here, it's kind of hard for me to understand why. Like, I don't know. I'm kind of missing a little bit more detail here on inside the eye as well. I kind of feel like if you look at the rock right next to it, you kind of still see a little bit going on here. It's almost like it looks like this is so thin that it's just a little pillar there. So I think it's just the depthness into it, but it looks great. I mean, I'm just like giving small little notes, but I think it does look great, and I love the little touch of the torches and the fire and the little illumination of the fire. That's a really nice touch. From a stylization point of view, this looks great, and I think the notes I'm giving you are mostly notes that you would find on a film production, not really on a simple shot like this. So I think you did great. I'm just like giving you like some minor notes.
Of course, I appreciate it.
And then I guess in here, the guy's falling down. This shot is much well conceived. I think you did a great job here. The bokeh depth of field looks great, especially because like you said before, like it's always better to shoot something for real, and you did. Like the guy's really falling down, and you have the bokeh reference there, and we can kind of see he's like moving around, and it fits really well. I mean, and then he falls down and just kind of falls down. You did a good job as well of him. You had to because of course there was a mattress, but you still kept him going more down, which is cool as well. So that's a nice touch. And then the bats, I'm assuming that's CG, I guess, or maybe a plate.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
It's a CG model using the blender. I think it was a Boyd's feature that creates like flocks of birds or moths or whatever. Yeah,
definitely. This is a great shot.
I just had them following the torch, so the torch was kind of their main point of interest. So they were just circling the torch, trying to follow it.
Yeah, that's great. And I love the little crystals, the light crystals that you have there. That's really nice. It really reminds me of the caves of Elden Ring.
Oh.
I spent so many hours inside the fucking caves in Elden Ring that I'm always remembering that. My God. It was by far the game that I played the most last year. I played 150 hours on that game.
Oh my
so
God,
it's like, because I did 100%. I platinumed the game. So I did literally the whole thing. There was nothing missed. I did every single boss, every single thing. So I look at those kind of things. And I'm like, oh my God, here I am in a cave again. Like another cave. My 100th cave now. But yeah, this shot is...
Those crystals were... I made the shape in Blender, and then I sent the production designer like a cutout.
Yeah.
And she used this, I think it was like filter paper or some kind of
Yeah, it looks great.
Plastic to fold them up. Yeah.
It looks great. Looks really good. Okay, cool. This shot is great. Really have not much more to say. I love the little touch that even the wood moves and everything. It's like it's nice touch because it's and then he falls down.
Yeah,
It's really nice.
That's why I had the tracking dots on there because I saw it moving during the set and I'm like, oh shoot.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna be able to animate that very well, so I just put my fairy lights on it really quick.
By the way, what is going on here? Like this guy, he's talking to camera or something? What's going on here?
It's an advertisement, so he's talking about the product. It's
Okay.
It's on YouTube somewhere.
Okay, it's quite funny because the guy's just like, I don't care. He's lying. I don't give a fuck. Like,
Yeah,
it's
I
like-
work a lot with these guys. They're great.
It's cool.
Very comedic.
Okay, cool. Next up, we have like a horror thing here with some green spandex people. So what's going on here? Is this like a short film as well or something?
Yeah, this is another short film. It's basically just a guy getting yanked into the room, and I mean, you can see the pre with the green guy. I don't think the green helps that much, but it stands out, and that's really all I needed.
Yeah, exactly. For you to
and
know
I
the
just had
edges. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just had to paint him out and just replace him with the CG arms that I got online. And I was on set. It was really funny. There's some pictures of me on that set with just holding up different icky textures. Like I had a fish that I bought at the supermarket. I had some raw meat, and just was kind of holding it up and getting a lighting reference for it.
Yeah.
Then I just got like color chart and the ball as well.
Yeah.
Just to try and help match, the wet looking texture for the arms.
Yeah. I think you
and then,
did a good job. Did a good job there. I think the CG looks great. The only thing that I can say is that you still have a lot of left spill of green on his face and on the arms. So there are still leftovers of that green. So you can kind of see that when I go backwards here, you see that's the green being reflected on his face.
Oh, interesting.
And so now when the monster is there, you still have the green reflect in the face. So this is a typical spill suppression thing that you would do on Nuke or something, which would be the best place to really try to spill suppress. I'm not sure you did this in Nuke or no, but
it's After Effects and Blender.
I'm assuming After Effects has a spill suppression somewhere as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be one thing that I would say, that you still have some green there. That's really the giveaway for me for it to not work, and especially still have some the whole time. Like if you just suppress the whole thing, it will be all gone, and that's it. And I like that you shot it for real, because then it just helps the momentum, like because the guy's being yanked for real, and it's the whole thing is like it just makes the whole difference. It just makes it look much better. So that's a nice shot. Now, not so much the fan of the shake, the camera shake. The camera shake looks to me like too sideways only. I kind of feel like you could have done it with more frequency, so it would like shake a little bit more, like a real, like really big tremor. I think it's too, like the movement is too wide. It moves too wide sideways. But then it's nice that you have a little dust coming out. That's a really nice touch, and the figure as well in the photo. Was the photo already there from the beginning, or is it comped in?
It was already there. I did have to kind of rebuild it to get the shadows to hit it correctly as it swings, but yeah, that was fun.
Cool, excellent. Okay, cool. So then next up we have the Mr. Vampire here flying around with someone. So what's going on here?
I think this is an adaptation that my friend did for A Court of Thorns and Roses, the book series.
Cool.
And so this is just basically a scene. They've been doing this online series for a long time, and they wanted to pay it off because they were doing their last video. So they wanted to see the wings on this character that they'd never seen before.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the same bat model that I used on the previous shots. It's just blown way up more, and I did some recoloring on it.
Yeah, looks great. I like the shin that you have on it. Like this shin of almost velvety, almost like velvet or something. It's really nice. The little touch of color and velvet looking that you have there on the wings as well.
I did a couple passes to try to get it looking good.
Yeah, it's quite cool. If anything, I would say that if I was doing this myself, I would have ripped the shirt. And what I've seen pieces of the shirt being ripped at the beginning, because right now, like the wings are just coming out of the shirt. But I would have ripped a bit the shirt, and then you would have had little pieces of his skin, and then the wings come out. So you would see like pieces falling down out of it.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, because then where are they coming from? So yeah, but it's a nice shot. You also did, I'm assuming, put some dust on the floor there and some lift off of like some dust from the floor.
I had a photogrammetry of the floor, so I did a little bit of shadow work and some dust elements.
Is this sky for real, or is it like comped as well?
No, it's comped.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because it would have been really difficult to actually shoot this. So I was like wondering, like I was gonna ask you like what impressive camera you have there that has some nice, really light capture thing. But it's a nice bouquet, and looking at the bouquet, was this shot on anamorphic? Was that what's happening?
It
here?
was anamorphic, yeah. Sony Venice.
Good. It's always a fucking mess when it's anamorphic. Great stuff. Sony Venice is a great camera. Just the last commercial I directed was on a Sony Venice too. It's a great camera. I was so surprised by it.
They used a dual rig for the Avatar sequels.
Yeah, I know.
Dual Sony Venice.
Yeah, it's a fantastic camera. It was just like a couple of months ago. I directed a commercial for Zeiss, and we used the Venice 2 on 8K and with some Zeiss lenses, some Zeiss primes. My God, it's such a good camera. I loved the color look of it and the feeling of it and the grain. It was just a lovely camera. It was the first time I used the Venice. In London here, I live in London. I would say that 90% of the productions we do here is an ARRI camera. It's often an Alexa. Like 9 out of 10 when I go on set, it's an Alexa on set. Like I don't know what's going on in London. I guess people love Alexas. I don't know. It's just Alexas everywhere. The only time I didn't shoot with Alexa is when on the States. So if I go to LA, I usually often have Reds on camera on set, Venices. Yeah. This Venice was in Germany that we used the Venice. I mean, in London, I don't think I've ever shot anything but an Alexa. Either an Alexa LF, a Mini, or a 65. I don't think I've ever filmed anything else. In Sweden, I filmed with a Red as well. I don't know, man. I think London is obsessed with an Alexa. I don't know what's going on.
I like working with Alexa footage. There's very few color pitfalls you can fall into like there is with Red.
Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely. The Red is like a bit of a weird... I know what you mean. But that's why I'm saying the Venice was a surprise to me, because it looks so beautiful. It looks so good. Like I was really surprised by the reproduction of color and the light of it, and it just looked very film-like. It was very nice. I was very impressed by it. It was a massive camera, though. It was pretty big, but we had two versions. We had the normal version, and then we had the one that has the wire coming out that you can, like the one they used on Top Gun, that you can rig just the sensor, and then you have the body somewhere else, So we had two on set. So we had the Venice 1 and the Venice 2 there. That one with the rig that has a big cable from the sensor, that's great. It's really good, because we had like a really nice Steadicam that we had just the sensor attached to it, and then there was a big cable coming out of it, and then the body was somewhere else. So it was really much easier for the camera operator to handle it, because it was so much lighter, because practically that sensor part with the lens, it becomes almost like the size of a Blackmagic camera, almost. It's just like the little part of the sensor and nothing else, and then a big ass cable coming out of it, and it was really, really interesting to use. But anyway, I'm gonna get ahead of myself. So someone on the chat here is saying the wings look like cloth, and I agree with them. But
that's a cloth sim.
yeah, but I like it. I think it looks cool. I like that it looks like cloth. I think it's a fantastic scene. It's like a fairy tale scene. It's like a stylized scene. I actually like the velvety look of it. This would be a creative decision. The director would be the one that would tell you what they wanted, and so you could either go with velvet, you could either go with skin, you could either go with whatever you want, really. So it's the beauty of it. Okay, next up, this shot here with the guy inside the car, very straightforward. So I guess a commercial or short as well or something. I guess
it's a feature that my friend produced. So both of those are live elements.
Cool.
They're none of it's CG. It's just two different plates they shot with different cameras that I just combined.
Yeah. If anything,
If
anything, I would say you have the kind of same issues you had on the shot before. You have some spill still left over, some blue spill on the motion blurred bits of the hair. So this is a typical problem that we often get. Like often we solve these problems inside of Nuke using something we called edge extension. So you basically like extend the edges and then cut it and use the last pixel of color to fill in that bright color. So it's like it's a very typical technique we use in Nuke compositing. Not entirely sure how you would have done it in After Effects. I'm sure it's possible as well. It usually has the same tools, but I haven't used it in After Effects in a long time, so more than 10 years, so I don't really know anymore how to do it there. But yeah, that would be my thing that I would sell to you. Much better on this one. I don't think you have spill on here, and this one is much more well integrated. And I love the touch of the reflections on the sorry, what's the name of this?
The rear view.
Yeah, the rear view. Yeah,
the chrome elements.
Yeah,
yeah
it looks great. Looks great. That's a really nice touch.
Just to call myself out on this shot, I wasn't on set for this, but I wish that they had filmed it more like an actual car rig, because this was set up maybe 10 feet out from the car with a longer lens.
Yeah.
And so that's what's always bugged me about this shot, is that it doesn't feel like a genuine car rig.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did my best to try to make it sell.
No, I think you did great. Like I can buy the reflections, and I really like the little touches that you made there of the reflections moving around. That's a really nice touch. Okay, and then we have like a bunch of shots in a row here, which are really typical film shots. So this train shot, I mean, I'm assuming
this is just two shot elements.
Shot elements, yeah. Did good. I kind of believe the exposure outside with the exposure inside. I think it's actually looking pretty good. If anything, I mean, if I was on set, I would have probably made more interactive lighting passing through the windows outside there, because I kind of miss the bit of typical shadowing that you get from the tree lines that would affect a little bit of the... And you can do this easily on set with some C-stands and some lights, and then maybe some grids on the lights and some breakups, and you can kind of like move them a little bit and have some of the gaffer people, like the gaffers, like moving it around a little bit.
We had that a little bit, but it just didn't end up in this take, I guess.
It could be, yeah, exactly. They always
you see it near the end.
Yeah,
a couple frames at the end, I think.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, of course. They always pick the take that is not the one. I know. It's always like that. That's why you have to do all the takes the same.
Yeah.
So, and then we have these dudes here with the blue screen as well. I think relatively the keying is not... I've noticed the keying is not your strongest thing. Like, there's a little bit of an issue here again with the edges and the kind of like spill and kind of like the smoothness between the plate and the actual edges, especially on this dude, and especially on the arm on the back there. The front guy is looking great. It's just the back person, and I can see it because the plate is so freaky grainy that is a bit harsh, but so it's always going to be a bit difficult thing. But this is the typical thing that you have to kind of recover, using edge extensions, paint overs, motion blur painted. There's a lot of techniques that you can really deploy in Nuke quite easily to try to fix these kind of things. But yeah, that is immediately I saw it, but not like most people won't see it really. And then we have this lady here and this guy. I mean, same film probably. And they have like these eyes. This is looking great, by the way. This shot looks great with the eyes and the stuff flying around. So is the stuff flying around actually also practical, or is it like particles that you've made?
CG. CG. Yeah. So those two shots are different films, but it's just showcasing, like I can do eyes.
Yeah.
And then this one has CG simulated elements. Those are just like embers that are just blue.
Cool.
Yeah,
it's a nice touch. I think the ambers look realistic enough. I think I like it. The eyes also, you've managed to track it quite well with the shake. Even though if it delays a little bit between the track and the shake, but that's also normal because the camera itself would also like be a bit like it would look weird anyway because it would shake in a different way because lights always like bounce around and have like streaks anyway, so it's a nice touch. And then the second guy is like pretty flawless. These eyes guys like that I think he did a great job on these ones. So is this the guy, like what, the guy is blind or something, or is this like some kind of power he has or something?
It's a power. Yeah, okay. He can read minds basically. So that was just there was a lot of shots like this just to indicate that he's using his abilities.
His ability. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's really well done. I really don't. I mean, if I go frame by frame, I can kind of see that it shakes here and there, and you have like some edges that go, black edge there, black edge not there, black edge there, black edge not there. This is the kind of... I was
wondering if you'd catch this.
Yeah, the thing with this is that this is where I kind of split my review. Like, if this was a commercial, fine, man, it's perfect. great, let's move on. If this is a film, then yes, you would have had to fix those little things, because the problem with these kind of things, if you go frame by frame, is that once shown on the cinema, like on a huge screen, like a 20-meter screen or a 15-meter screen, you really see them. So that's why when we do reviews on film, we zoom in 500% because of this. Because on the cinema, you can tell everything. You can notice the grain, you notice the edges. Now, if you're gonna watch it on a streaming app or on a commercial or on Netflix, no, you're never gonna notice it because it's like so compressed by the bloody compression of the signal. So it's not even, especially if it's on YouTube, you won't even notice it. So it's like, I always advise people to kind of like also like talk with their supervisors about this, because the supervisor might have an expectation of delivery, because obviously we can spend forever doing shots, we can spend months doing a shot until perfection, but depends on what you're delivering it to, where it's going to end up, and how much time you have to do it. Like if I have 3 months, sure, I'll do it frame by frame, I'll paint it to perfection. But if I have 3 days, no, I'm going to give it 70% to it, and I'm going to make it almost good, because I only have 3 days.
The second one is more accurate.
Exactly, that's the thing. So that's the thing I would say. So yeah, definitely, it's well done, and I like the effect. But if it's like a real film production, you would have had a few issues. But you've noticed them. That's the important part. And if you had the time, you would have done it. That's the thing. That's the important part. So cool. Now, your showreel is really large, by the way. It's really long.
Do you want to take a break? I know you said like every hour.
No, it's fine because we're not going to have anyone else after, so we're going to finish the stream, so it's not a problem. But yeah, I'm just making a note that it's very long. Usually showreel should be a bit shorter. I would advise 1.5 minutes tops, because it's just too long. I think you have too many shots. I definitely think you can cut some. You don't think you have to have so many shots, and I think you can have a tighter experience to have a shorter showreel, for sure. 1.5 minutes for me is like the sweet spot for a showreel. Now these are really cool shots where you have these kind of like rocks on the like lifting. They're really well made. So what's going on here is this also again Blender or Elements? What's going on here?
This is Blender. The rocks are photogrammetry scanned from the location because I was there and was able to get lighting references and all that good stuff. The light was basically me just taking a card from the footage. So I tried to cut out that campfire and use that campfire as a card to cast the light so that all the flickering matched up perfectly. And then just basic 3D camera track, which was actually really tough because this was shot on a really good low light camera, but there was still a lot of grain removal. And so the 3D track was really, really tough because the grain just threw it off all the time. I think the stars we added in later, so the stars were not exposed in the original plate, but I didn't really break that down. But yeah, this was out near Joshua Tree.
Yeah.
So fun night shoot.
Well, the track you can get away with it fortunately for you, because you can kind of like get away with the fact that it's floating, so it's like forgiving a little bit, so I don't think you have a problem with the track. I think the only thing that I really notice is that the rocks themselves are very noisy, and I'm not sure if that's the noise from the CG or if you've added the wrong type of grain, or the matching grain is not really matching, because the some of the rocks are shimmering with noise, and not really noise of photography. They look like noise of lack of light, of bad render, than the noise of actually the plate, because I know the plate is noisy, but your noise is shimmering too much, it's flickering too much. On the second plate,
the like fireflies or like
it's
blending...
like especially this rock here on the front here, this one here. If you go frame by frame, you can kind of see it looks like it's fireflies. Yes, it looks like it's like this specular highlight. Often what we do is like we break down if we don't have the time to like really ramp up the quality of the render and put it on the farm for ages. then you could always break down the AOVs and then just denoise some of them, like using like Neat Video or something. You can always denoise the specular or denoise the reflection and try to just denoise some of the passes that are more noisy and keep other passes that are correct. So if you don't denoise the diffuse, which will be where most of your texture will be, then you don't lose a lot of detail because it's just the reflections that you're denoising. So that could be one way of getting rid of that. But of course, the ultimate way to get rid of it is to just up the samples and leave it on the farm for the weekend or something. That's the only way for you to really get rid of most of it. Really like this shot here with the black hole. That's really nice. You did a great job there. Really well referenced to some of the black holes we've seen in films, especially on Interstellar. That's a really nice touch. Nice grain texture, nice particles going and flying through them. I really like this shot. This is a great shot. It's really nice. And these 3 shots are really beautiful as well. They're really pretty. The locations, it's a really nice shots as well. Okay, cool. So then we go into this thing, like this portal, kind of like Stargate something that is going on here. So I guess this is also a short film, or maybe the same film or something. Is that what's going on?
Short film, different film. This is a drone shot that we had to track, and I have a friend who rendered out the portal images, so I just tried to track it in and composite it within the time that we had, which is probably less than a week.
Yeah. You can kind of tell that. Like I think you kind of see that the CG is not really well blended, and it's like lacking some work to make it more photoreal. I think the texture work needed more time and more work, and it needed more breakup. It's a bit repetitive, and it kind of loses scale because of that. It makes it look too small, So it's so definitely would need more work for sure. Now next up here we have the save the crew thing going on here. So really nice touch. I guess I'm assuming that you shot this with the lights on and then you paint them all out. I guess that's what you did, right?
Pretty much. Yeah. My friend shot the drone footage and I just comped the letters in and just rotoed and tried to comp out the lights that are there.
Yeah. You've successfully done it on some of them, not on others. Like, you've definitely not succeed on down here. Like, all this looks really not good. Like, all these blurry, kind of like, almost like, when you have these videos that they're trying to hide someone's identity, almost like that. So you have some problems here. Some of the ones on the back look fine. I think it's just some of these big neon signs that needed some proper cleanup, to a point that you probably would have had to like replace it with something else. With almost
CG buildings,
either CG buildings or patches, or even try to find similar places that would be off. It's a tricky thing. It's because of these big neon signs. They are really tough, and especially if the plate doesn't have enough dynamic range, it's going to be almost impossible for you to reduce it enough. And that's what's happening here. Like, especially you completely clamped the dynamic range on these shots, because it almost looks like it's broken at some point. So it's not working totally. But the good thing about it is that most people are looking at the save the crew, so they're not looking at that part. They're looking at the middle, which is nice. No one is going to look at the back there. I'm looking, but not most people
that's
are.
The hope.
Exactly. So that's fine, and I think it's a nice touch, and it's lovely shot there on the middle. Okay, so then you have like these Spartan-looking things with some nasty edge green screen spill here. Because I just by mistake I stopped it on the wrong frame, I guess. So you have like some really nasty edges with the green. I think that green screen is really tricky. Most people don't really like give it enough credit, because it's really difficult to do a very good green screen. And all this thing with the motion blur and the edge treatment and also the spill suppression is really tricky to pull off. And definitely it works fine on the beginning. Like when the shot starts, it's looking great. It's looking great here, even with the motion blur. You've done a great job here throughout the whole thing. There's some moments that you can still see kind of some green spill going on here, but it's like when they zoom in, that's when it kind of falls apart with these edges, these really large edges, which ultimately would have to be painted over and edge extended. And because the edge extension technique is really cool, because what you do is you pick up the alpha and then you basically are picking the collar from the inside of the arm, and that collar replaces itself to the edge. So you basically get the rest of the collar all the way, and then it gets cut by the roto, and then you add some motion blur on top, and then it kind of fits and fixes some of those things. So that would be the thing. Now, apart from that, then it looks great with this bouquet and the sparks and the swords going through. That's a great shot. A typical, like action flick shot. So that's really the only issue. It's like when he goes a bit closer, those edges are a bit off, but the rest looks great. Now, moving on to the next shot, I think you did a good job here with the portal. If anything, I would just say that I would probably put the reflection of what's on the floor a little bit sharper, because you can kind of see the floor's reflection is very broken up for sure. It is because it's almost looks like this kind of stone-like floor that is very displaced and very distorted. So definitely I understand why you were blurred so much, but I still think that you're blurring too much, because the edge, right, the connection to the circle would still be more sharp, and then it would fade more. So I think you went a bit too far with the blurring, but it's a really subtle thing. It would just be that. Then the shadow of the dude works fine, and yeah, I think the rest is good. And you can kind of tell that when you look at the real thing here. You see the texture breakup of the light that is there. This is what I'm missing. I'm missing the texturing and the breakup. When I do this, you can clearly see what's missing. You see, that's the missing thing. And this would have
breakup. Would that be like a specific? Because I think this was like polished cement or something. Would that just be like a little texture that I would get online or something? To add some more variation to it.
Yeah,
I think I just bumped up the roughness slider a little.
Yeah,
and maybe that wasn't enough.
Yeah, I would definitely pick up a texture of this kind of surface, and then I would use that as a displacement mask to displace the image, and then fiddle around with the settings until I would get something would be closer to this, But hats off to the rest, because this is a really nasty green screen. Jesus. Really nasty green screen. Practically a rotoscope, really, at this point, because the green is so close to the actor. The green needed to be so much more far away and stretched. So like this is, at this stage, it's a rotoscope almost, because there's no way this key is gonna pull off correctly. So it's well done, and I think it did good. And I think that's, for me personally, I think that's the only thing that really makes it worse on this shot. It's only this kind of texturing, lack of texturing on this floor. I like your key, I like your roto. I think the rest is great, and I like the look of your spiral and portal effect as well. I think you did great there, and the outside looks similar in terms of perspective and angle. I think you did good there as well. So I think it's just that, because everything else looks great, man. I think you did a great job. Thanks. Yeah. There's that's it really. Then we have like a typical set extension thing, like with a huge amount of people that you photographed and then filled the whole room. This is always cool, because I always feel like this always works better to have real people for real shot. Whenever I do this kind of thing, I always try to have that instead of a CG crowd, because a CG crowd is just not detailed enough usually to make it look this realistic. So I think
I forget what show it was, but have you seen the video that's going around?
Oh yeah,
that one show that they just dropped expressionless puppets behind a couple real characters.
Yeah, that happens on a lot of films. Happen that, but that's just that's just probably lack of budget, and they just didn't care or something. It was a poor thing, but it is of course, unfortunately, being mistaken as a full AI thing. It's not really an AI thing, but I think a lot of people on the web.
I could go into that a lot about the difference between CG and AI.
Yeah, I think a lot of people on the web are really confusing both things, and I think whenever they see bad CG, they think it's AI. When it's far from it, there's very, very little AI in visual effects productions these days. What's happening in VFX, which people don't really understand the difference, regular people, is machine learning. We use a lot of machine learning for years. We've been using machine learning for literally years. I remember having machine learning techniques even in films like years ago, like even in 2018, 17, 16. The problem with this is that no one knows the difference between machine learning and AI, and they just mix everything, and then it's a big hot mess. We're not gonna get into it now, but it's a hot mess for sure.
It's exciting though, some of the stuff that's coming out right now. You've looked into Gaussian splatting? Very new kind of thing.
I haven't looked at that at all. No,
it's really cool.
No, I know. No, I've seen it. I mean, I haven't used it. That's what I meant. I haven't used it. I am waiting for all of this to kind of like become a proper pipeline integration into visual effects, because I feel that there's like a lot of really bad tools out there. There's a lot of unethical tools as well. I really want to wait for it to be properly done so that we can actually use it without breaking anything, and without actually being
having to run it from a command line.
Exactly, and also without being run by just like copyright problems and stealing data, and like I just feel like some of these companies are going to go away and others are going to stay, and the dust will settle, and then we'll have a proper thing going on. For right now, visual effects are not done that way. Although people think it is, it's not done that way. So visual effects are still done traditional way. We have a lot of machine learning, but that's a different conversation. That's a completely different conversation. Yeah. Anyway, this stream is going long, so I'm gonna like just speed up.
This is almost done, I think.
Yeah. I'm gonna speed up. I think you need a lot of work here with this. This is not working in terms of CG integration at all. Like I feel like especially the reflections as well. I don't really believe the water would reflect like that, especially with so much breakup of foam and so much breakup of water. It would be a lot more displaced, the reflection. But also the thing on the back, it's just what's making me look weird to me is the color tint to it, and where's that sun coming from? There's no sun on the plate, so I think it's just a bit off, that CG. It's not really fitting into the rest of the shot, because I don't see any of this red light that is coming from somewhere. I'm not really hitting on him, so I'm not entirely sure if it's working, this shot, for sure. And then, is this the last one? No, not the last one.
Very close.
Okay, let me just scroll down really quickly here. Okay, cool.
That's
you have three shots that we have. So, leg replacement here. So, can you have more tracking markers? So that's good. I think he did a good job there, especially with the reflection and the dirt and everything, and that guy moving. So the shot is quite simple as well, so it's not moving too much. So I think did a good job there. Is this also Blender as well in CG and that?
Yeah, Blender, After Effects. There's kind of a walk-up that I don't think I included the whole thing. You kind of just see him turn around, but he walks up to the mirror, and so I had to track. I think I tracked the middle part. I was able to get a solid track from the Blender tracker, and then the other two parts I kind of just used a hierarchy and just hand animated them to match the upper leg and the foot.
I see.
And then I was on set, so I was able to get all the good lighting references, and I think I even got a black plate of the smudging on the mirror so that would all match up later too.
Yeah, and it does.
But yeah, this is a tough shot.
And does. The only thing I would say is that I mean, maybe it's a creative decision, but the foot is so much bigger than the old foot that was there. That's a bit off for me in terms of looking at it this way, because the foot looks so much longer than the other one. And also when it crosses the other foot, I would assume this is still leftovers from the old foot that you see here, because there's like some white weird stuff going on the bottom there.
Maybe.
And on the top there,
I think it's a metal hinge that's catching the light a little bit.
Yeah, and it's probably very noisy. That's what it looks like. So I think that's the only two things that I kind of like looked at it and that's not looking perfect. But everything else, I mean, I think it's great. And the glass and the reflections, that looks great. But you see what I mean? Like the foot is too long. Like this is huge foot compared to the foot the guy had, So the foot somehow is like a larger foot. So that's why it makes it look weird when he's moving around. So if the person would have such a large foot on one of the foot, he would have walked really funny. so that would be
if that was the scale, because I scanned everything from production design elements. All of these were like, we had those on set, so it was great because I was able to get lighting references for what the foot looked like.
Yeah.
I wonder if I got the scale wrong.
Could be. I mean, I never know.
Who knows?
Cool, man. And then after this, we have this shot here, which we have the person being ran over. Again, always the best way to shoot something, and you did. I think it looks good. I don't really see any issues. There's so much motion blur going on here that it's like don't really see much of a problem. I think it's very well made. If anything, I would clean up the light that was on set. That would be one thing I would do. Because that's a light from the set. But that's a tricky cleanup. But you know, it would, if this was a film, they would have cleaned it up. They would have had to like use the frame before and then patch it all the way to the end and recover the rest. So that would be what I would do. And then this is...
There's a lot of issues with this one.
Yeah, but, you know, I'm assuming this is a stylized thing, and it's like not supposed to really be photoreal anyway. So it also looks to me like you don't have the whole shot here as well, is it? Is this the whole shot?
It's kind of trimmed on both sides, yeah.
Okay.
I just wanted to show enough of the transformation that's just like, oh, yeah, it's a bear and then it's a human. If
I would say something is that, like I've said a few times before, I think you have too much. By the way, I appreciate that you've put all the credits at the end. That's really nice, and the music and everything. So that's good. I think you have too many shots. I would say that. I think you have good shots, bad shots, and you just need to like trim this down because, you know, I'm a big fan of this bottle. I think that's great. If I go through really quickly now, the bottle is great. This one needs some work for sure. The one to the city. This one is nice. I don't really see any issues with the motor or the engine. This is definitely cool. This time lapse thing is great. This thing with the numbers, it's cool, but it's not that cool. I mean, you know, it's nice, but I don't think it's worthy of other shots you have. The tree falling down is great. Don't see issues. The mini here, I would probably just put the first half, not the second half, because the first half is great. Second one, not so much. I would definitely take that out because it's just showing me that this is bad CG compositing. The rock thing here, I think it looks good. I mean, I don't really mind, but I much prefer the second shot. I think the second shot is the one you should definitely keep because it's a really good shot. And the first shot doesn't really help. You know, I think the second one is better. Then for me, the arms here, except the green spill, I think this looks great. No problems there. Didn't really see any issues with the bat thing here as well. These shots with the car, it's just a blue spill, but it's not that much, so I would keep it. This definitely I would keep. That's a great shot with the car. The train also looks good. This one, I mean, I would probably keep it just to show some compositing skills, but it would be nice if you would fix the spill, of course. The eyes look great. I would leave both. All these rock things, yeah, definitely keep it. It's all good. And by the time it hits YouTube and compressed, no one is ever gonna see the shimmer, you know. So it doesn't really matter. So I think I would definitely keep it. This I would remove. Like, I don't think this shot is as good as the other shots you have. This one with the portal.
Sure.
Definitely remove. I would keep nationwide because it's an important brand. It's nice. I mean, I know that's not really well cleaned up, but I don't think there's anything you can do about it, to be honest. This shot, if you can fix the spill in the edge, that would be cool, because the shot is cool. If you can't fix it, maybe cut it and just have the beginning and the end, because maybe not the middle section. And then the portal thing looks great. I would keep it for sure. And then I would keep the audience. That's a good breakdown, good skill. I like it. I think it's nice. I would definitely remove this shot, the other portal. This is also as bad as the other portal. I wouldn't keep it. And then the leg, yeah, it's okay. If you want to trim something else, maybe trim this, but it's also okay. It's not that bad. I would definitely keep the girl getting hit. That's nice. I would take away this teddy bear. So you see, half of the showreel now. So now you have a 1.5 minute showreel. You know. So
yeah.
Here's the biggest advice I'm going to give you and anyone on the audience here. If it doesn't look completely perfect, just take it out. There's no point of you having a lot of shots if they're not really good. You know, so just keep the best of the best on your showreel. Like, less is more for sure, you know, like, and you want to impress by everything you have. You don't want to give any opportunity for the recruitment people to say, if they didn't have this shot here, I would have hired them. Don't do that, because then might as well not have that shot, and then people will hire you because they didn't saw it. And ignorance is a bliss. If they don't know about it, they don't know about it. Because they never seen it. So I think I would definitely make it smaller and tighter, and you have some really good work here. You're very talented. You have experience on set, which is really priceless for work, because you can say that on an interview. Say, I've done this, but I've also been on set, and I know this and this and that, and X and Y and Z and on set, and they're going to see that as an asset, because then whenever they need an assistant on set, they'll probably bring you to assist the supervisor that is on the company. And whole and behold, a couple of years later, you'll go alone, and then you'll take someone else with you to help, So that's how it starts, because hardly anyone wants to go on set. People hate to go on set because they don't like the being yelled at. They don't like the stress. They don't like the military institution of on set. Some people hate it. And people that work good on pressure, troubleshooting, they're always going to be hired to be on set. And also the on set thing is cool, because then if you get some comp work, you can work. And then if you don't find comp work, then you can go on set. And then if you don't find on set work, then you go for comp. So you have these two worlds, and you can just bounce from one job to the other, and you'll be always hired. I think that would be the advice I would give you. So yeah.
Now, can I ask you? There's a lot of the stuff that I do is word of mouth. Like, I've never worked for a house on set or anything like that.
Yeah.
So when you were at the mill, did you immediately start doing on-set work, or did you have to put in a couple years doing comp and then they let you on set? Like, how does that process typically work?
So the process was easy. It's a bad example, because when I was at the mill, I was already hired as a senior. So I was already a senior when I went to the mill. And so as soon as I got into the company as a senior, it was very quickly for me to go on set. But before that, when I was at Nexus, and when I was at Animac, and I was on Jellyfish, and when I was on other companies before that, I offered myself all the time, can I go on set? Can I go? I would bother them to go on set, because if you don't ask, you're not going to go. So that's the thing. I would go to production downstairs and say, can I go on set? I don't even mind going on my day off. I just want to go and see it, and I want to be there and help the supervisor. So get yourself to know who on the company goes on set often. Talk to them and say, I'm very interested on set. I want to learn from you. Would you want me to be your assistant? Can I go and do assistant work? And they will most often, because they would see that you want it, they will probably take you in and try you, and give you a go and see if it works for them. But yeah, definitely try to pinpoint who on the company does on-set work, because there will always be a couple of CG guys and a couple of comp guys and girls that will always go on set because they're used to going. Try to find out, either by asking production, scheduling, or even talking around the company. And then you'll always find that there's some dude or some girl that always goes on set. And then, approach them and say, do you want an assistant? Can I go and help? Can I try? If they say no, then they're pricks. Then try to ask someone else, and someone else will say yes. You just have to do it that way. But force yourself into it. That's the thing. That's what I did in my entire career. I forced myself into anything. That's how you need to do it, because if you don't ask, you're not going to get anywhere. If you don't ask, they don't know. They don't know you want to go on set. Why would they know? They don't know anything about you. You're just there with the headphones working. They don't know. So you just have to make yourself loud and be clear. And then when you have a meeting, imagine you have a couple of months later, you have a meeting, the progress meeting, how you doing on the company and how's it going? And, those typical meetings you have every few months, trying to see your progress in the company, then mention it there. Oh, I would love to go on set. Just keep bouncing that word, and sooner or later you'll be on set. That's the thing.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
Hey, on that note, I just wanted to shout out a couple of your older videos. I think it was the one on the apps that you want to have on set, and just the toolkit. I watched those, I think, back in 2019, and I've been using so much of that stuff since then.
Oh, thanks for saying that.
My Majors Pro, I use that every set.
Thank you so much for saying that. And those videos are old now. I am now making. I need to make new videos because they're quite old, and I have a lot of things on my gear that I don't have on those videos, and things have changed quite a lot since then. So yeah. There's a lot of new gear and new stuff that especially can do on an iPhone and with LiDAR scans and things like that, which I've never addressed because at the time when I did those videos, there was nothing like that. You couldn't get. There was no LiDAR scan on the phones. So you if you wanted to have a LiDAR scan, you would have to hire one, and that was expensive. So that definitely need to update those videos for sure. But thanks for saying that. Yeah, thanks for watching as well. Yeah,
thank you.
Anyway, we've been on and yapping for too long, so I'm going to leave you to it. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you so much for sharing.
Such a blast.
Yeah, thank you so much for saying that, and you're always welcome. Come back if you want anytime. Email me once you have a new show reel, and we can continue there. Okay.
All right.
Cool, man.
Thank you so much, Hugo.
See you later.
Right,
Bye.
Take care.
Okay, that was great. I apologize that we went on for a long time, and I know I always try to make it an hour. I know I failed miserably this time. I apologize for that. But let's just do the giveaway, and then let's get on our merry way because we've been going on for a while, and I never want to do the streams too long because I get too tired. I'm already too tired anyway. I'm already starting to be too tired. So let's just do the breakdown, just do the giveaway. Don't forget before we all go, don't forget next week on Tuesday I have Victor Perez here doing a live stream with me. Physically, he's going to be right next to me here on a chair. And we're going to talk about his new book, the Color Management Handbook for Visual Effects Artists. Of course, you know it by another cover, not this cover. This is the hardcover. And then the week after, a couple of weeks later, I'm going to do another showreel review. Someone on the chat was asking, how can I submit my showreel? Well, all the information is on the description of this video, so you can load it there. Eric here says, I love the long streams. Well, Eric, on the 8th of December, I'm doing a 12-hour stream. Not just me, of course, a bunch of people. So it's the World VFX Day, and we'll have 12 hours of videos, talks, keynotes, presentations, breakdowns, showreels, keynote, like Q&As. A bunch of companies will be on the show, 12 hours of it. So if you like long, you'll be there for 12 hours. Cool, man. So we're going to go and do the giveaway, and then we're going to go away to another day because we'll be back next week. So let's see here. So I'm hoping that, let's see how many people put the giveaway in. Let's see here. So, oh, damn. I've been on for so long that the giveaway already ended. I need to change the timing. I apologize for that. I didn't notice that the giveaways was locked until 7. Apologies for that. That's my fault. I didn't notice that it was locked for the wrong day. Apologies for that. I'm just updating it there so that the giveaway can continue for a couple of more hours. So I do apologize for that. So if you haven't been on the giveaway, you can now get in. I've updated the giveaway so that you can still join, because by mistake it's been off for an hour. I do apologize for that. So I need to change it there. So yeah, apologies for that. I didn't notice. Someone could have told me on the chat. You can always talk to me. It's not a problem. I don't mind. Okay, so I'm just gonna give it another 10 minutes there. So an update so that people have a few more minutes to. So if you haven't been on it, just do it. It's my pleasure, Bruno. Thank you so much for saying that. I don't always thank BenQ. BenQ is the reason why we do these things, and they are the ones that have been supporting the channel so much. So thank you so much for saying that. And I'll be back next week. Don't worry. And Directo D2, don't worry. You can always rewatch the stream. It's the same link. The chapters won't be there, but I'm going to put in the chapters later tonight. And then you can watch with the chapters so you can kind of bounce from one thing to the other. Okay, so cool. I'm going to do the spin here. So let's see here who wins the Nuke course. Let's see here. Draw the winner. And I'm going to have one winner here. Let's just see here. We have 50 people lined up for the winner. Okay, cool. So I hope they're here. So the winner of the Nuke course, I'm going to see if I can copy paste this. It's always so difficult to copy paste this thing. Okay. So let's see here. The winner, okay, I hope they're there. I hope they're here. The winner of the Nuke course is, okay, so let's see here if I have the name correct. Yeah, I do. Okay, so the winner is Marco Calabi. Is Marco Calabi here? If Marco Calabi is here, I hope he is. I hope they are here. If they are here, they've won the new course. Is Marco here? Yeah, you're here. So Marco, are you already a student of mine? I think I know your name from somewhere. Maybe I know your name from other streams, maybe. Am I mistaken? Maybe you... I remember your name from somewhere. Can't remember from where. Am I mistaken here? Maybe I don't. I don't know. Now I'm confused. Do I know you? Okay, anyway. Are you a student of mine? If you're a student of mine... If you're not a student of mine, you've won the course. If you're a student of mine... Yes, you are a student. Okay. So if you're already a student of mine, then you've just won the workshops. Yeah. So congratulations. I will give you my new course, which is not finished yet, but half of it is finished. So you can watch half of it. So Marco, yeah, so just contact me and I'll upgrade. Now, with that in mind, I'm going to roll the dice again because, of course, it's not fair that a student of mine won. So I'm going to roll the dice again and going to give another Nuke course. So the second Nuke course will go to... Let's see here. The name is... If I'm going to be able to pronounce this, I hope so. I think it's... I believe this is a Twitter handle because I don't remember this name. So yeah, the second winner of the course is Ajtoman_N. I can't pronounce this. It's a really strange name, but that's the winner. I hope they're here as well. If they're here, okay, cool. So you've won my... Are you a student of mine already as well? If you're not a student of mine, then you've won the new course. Congratulations. So I'll be in touch with both of you. I have your emails. Marco, I have the email as well. So congratulations. You've both... so Marco won the workshops, and then Ajit here won the new course. So congratulations. So I'm going to go now. It's been too long, 3 hours, so expect some chapters to be here on this video for a couple of hours from now. It won't be just now, but it will be soon. And then from there, next week, Tuesday, I'll be back with Victor Perez. Don't forget that. Victor Perez will be back on the stream. He's going to be here in person, talking about ACEs and Color Pipeline, and also giving away his book as well and showing his book. And then we are back on another, the week after that, we're back on another Honest Showreel reviews. And then the week after that, we are on the World VFX Day. And then the week after that, we are another Showreel review. So, yeah. So, congratulations with everything. And thank you so much for all being here. Congratulations to the people that showed the Showreels. I'm happy. I can see Jose Matos, he is here complaining about the commercials. I am sorry, Jose, I don't have control over that. I've noticed lately that YouTube is really aggressive with commercials. So I do apologize in their behalf, but it's not my fault. They're very aggressive. But yeah, thank you so much, everyone. I'll see you all later. Have a great day, and I'll see you all very soon. Good.